My wife knew our daughter was still in the ocean. She chose another man anyway. I heard the order with my own ears. Rescue 1. Change course. Proceed immediately to Commander Cross. For half a second, I thought I had misunderstood. The emergency radio crackled against my ear. Wind screamed across the deck, carrying salt spray hard enough to sting my face. Behind me, crew members shouted over one another as the support vessel rolled beneath our feet. Less than 200 yards away, pieces of a shattered evacuation craft floated between violent gray waves. My 12-year-old daughter was somewhere among them. Victoria, I grabbed the radio. Victoria, Lily is still in the water, static answered me. Then came the voice I had listened to for 15 years. Calm, controlled, almost cold. I know. 2 words. That was all. My hand tightened around the radio. You know? Another wave struck the side of the vessel. The deck tilted. Someone yelled for everyone to secure themselves. I barely heard him. All I could hear was the last transmission from Lily's emergency beacon. Dad. Then static. Then nothing. I pressed the radio button again. Her beacon stopped transmitting 40 seconds ago. Rescue 1 is the closest boat. Send them to Lily. Negative. My wife didn't hesitate. Commander Cross's launch has suffered a hull breach. He's trapped near the engine compartment. I stared toward the flagship in the distance. I couldn't see Victoria from here, but I could picture her perfectly. Rear Admiral Victoria Hale, decorated officer, nationally recognized commander. The woman newspapers called one of the sharpest decision-makers of her generation. My wife, Lily's mother, Adrian, is still aboard his launch. Victoria continued. Lily was wearing a flotation vest. I thought the wind had distorted her words. What did you just say? Ethan, don't interfere. She's 12, I am aware of that. Then act like her mother. Silence. Around me, several crew members suddenly found reasons to look away. They could hear everything. Everyone on this channel could. Victoria's voice became harder. This is an active emergency operation. Commander Cross is essential personnel and may have suffered serious injuries. And Lily? She has flotation equipment. My chest went hollow. There are sentences you hear and forget before the day is over. There are others that divide your life into before and after. That was one of them. Our daughter has flotation equipment. I turned toward the ocean. Rain blurred the horizon. The charity demonstration had begun beneath clear skies less than an hour earlier. Hundreds of guests had gathered along the harbor and aboard observation vessels to watch a coordinated maritime safety exercise. Lily had begged for weeks to attend. She loved the ocean. Or she had. She wanted to see her mother command the demonstration. That morning, she'd stood in front of the mirror in our hotel room, trying to braid her own hair. Do you think Mom will have time to eat lunch with us? I had helped fix the braid. If she can. Lily rolled her eyes. That means no. Your mom has a lot going on today. She always has a lot going on. I should have heard the disappointment underneath those words. Instead, I'd done what I'd been doing for years. I defended Victoria. Again, and again, and again. Now my daughter was somewhere beneath those waves because the woman I had defended had decided another man mattered more. A deckhand named Mason grabbed my shoulder. Mr. Cole, stay away from the rail. Where's the emergency skiff? His expression changed. Sir, where is it? Port stern. But you can't launch in this weather. I was already moving. Mr. Cole. I ran. The deck pitched beneath me. I slammed shoulder first into a railing, caught myself, and kept going. The radio exploded with Victoria's voice. Ethan, stop. I ignored her. Ethan, I reached the emergency skiff. 2 crewmen blocked me. Sir, we can't authorize. My daughter is in that water. We have rescue assets responding. No, you have rescue assets going the other direction. Neither man answered. That was answer enough. I shoved past them and grabbed the release mechanism. One of them caught my arm. Sir, you'll get yourself killed. Then help me. He stared at me. Something in my face must have convinced him. He swore under his breath and reached for the second release. Mason, he shouted. Get over here. 3 of us lowered the skiff. Victoria was still calling through the radio. Ethan, you are not trained for this. I almost laughed. She knew better than that. Much better. But apparently, after 15 years of marriage, she'd forgotten more about me than I realized. I'll find her. Rescue 2 will sweep the area after Commander Cross is secured. After. That word did it. Something inside me went completely still. No, I said. Ethan, you don't get to tell me to wait while our daughter drowns. Then I switched off the radio. The skiff hit the water hard. My knees nearly buckled. Mason jumped in behind me. You drive. I'll watch the debris field. I looked at him. You don't have to come. She's a kid. For words. A deckhand who barely knew Lily understood what her own mother had forgotten. I started the engine. We drove into the storm. The ocean looked completely different from water level. From the deck of a large vessel. Waves looked dangerous. From a small skiff. They looked like walls. We climbed one and slammed down the other side. My teeth snapped together. Mason shouted something I couldn't hear. I kept going. Lily, no answer. Lily, a broken seat floated past us. Then an orange equipment case. Then part of the evacuation craft's railing. My stomach twisted. I remembered buying Lily ice cream 3 nights earlier. I remembered her complaining that I always ordered vanilla. I remembered teaching her to swim when she was 5. She had hated putting her face underwater. I remembered Victoria laughing from a pool chair. She's stubborn like you. Back then, it had sounded affectionate. Lily, nothing. Mason pointed. There. I turned hard. A yellow life vest disappeared behind a wave. My heart stopped. Lily, we accelerated. The vest appeared again. No head. No arms. Just yellow. I killed the engine before we reached it and leaned over the side. Empty. The vest had been torn from someone. Mason looked at me. I couldn't breathe. Then we heard it. A sound so faint I almost thought I'd imagined it. Dad, I spun around. Lily, Dad left. Farther left. I started the engine again. Mason pointed toward a large section of floating wreckage. There. 2 tiny hands gripped the edge. Lily's head barely remained above the surface. Lily, her eyes opened. Dad, I don't remember crossing the final distance. I remember Mason grabbing my jacket so I wouldn't fall overboard. I remember reaching down. I remember Lily's fingers slipping once. I remember screaming her name. Then I had her. I dragged her into the boat. She collapsed against me. Her lips were blue. Her entire body shook violently. Dad, I've got you. I wrapped my jacket around her. I've got you. Baby. I couldn't, she coughed violently. Water spilled from her mouth. I couldn't find the boat. I know. Mom, I closed my eyes. Don't talk. Did Mom hear me? I looked at Mason. He looked away. Save your strength. She heard me, right? I couldn't answer. Lily started crying. Not loudly. That made it worse. She buried her face against my chest and shook. I thought nobody was coming. I came. My voice broke. I will always come. I held her while Mason drove us back. Only then did I see Rescue 1 in the distance. It was beside Adrian's damaged launch. Commander Adrian Cross was already aboard. Standing. Not trapped. Not unconscious. Standing. 2 crew members supported him as he stepped onto the rescue vessel. Victoria had sent the fastest boat away from our daughter for a man who could stand on his own feet. I stared until the rescue boat disappeared behind the waves. Something died inside me. It wasn't love. Not yet. Love dies slowly. What died was trust. And once trust is gone, love becomes a house with no foundation. It may remain standing for a while, but the collapse has already begun. Lily was taken to the medical station as soon as we returned. Mild hypothermia, water inhalation, several cuts, a badly bruised shoulder. But alive. Alive. That word was enough. I sat beside her bed for almost 2 hours. Victoria didn't come. I checked my phone once. No message. Twice. Nothing. At 7:43 p.m., the door finally opened. I stood immediately. But it wasn't Victoria. It was one of her staff members. Mr. Cole? Yes. Admiral Hale asked me to inform you that Commander Cross is being transferred for observation. I stared at him. And he hesitated. She will remain there until his condition is confirmed stable. I almost smiled. Not because anything was funny. Sometimes your mind reaches the end of disbelief and the only thing left is laughter. Our daughter nearly drowned. I understand. No, you don't. He swallowed. Sir, Admiral Hale also asked me to tell you that there will be a formal review regarding your unauthorized use of the emergency skiff. I stared at him for several seconds. My unauthorized use? Yes, sir. To rescue my daughter. He said nothing. I nodded. Get out. Mr. Cole now. He left. I sat down again. Lily was asleep. I watched her breathe. 1, 2, 3. I counted each breath for almost an hour. At some point after midnight, she opened her eyes. Dad, I'm here. She looked around. Where's Mom? My throat tightened. Working. It was the same lie I'd given her for years. Mom's working. Mom's busy. Mom wanted to come. Mom will make it up to you. Mom loves you. She just doesn't show it the same way. I suddenly hated every version of that lie. Lily stared at me. Then she whispered, "Was Mr. Cross okay?" I didn't answer. I saw the rescue boat go to him. Of course she had. She had been floating alone in the ocean. Watching the boat meant to save her move away. "He's alive," I said. "Was he hurt worse than me?" "No." Her face changed. Children understand betrayal long before adults are willing to name it. Did Mom know I was still there? I could have lied. God knows I'd lied for Victoria enough. But something about doing it now felt unforgivable. "Yes." Lily stared at me. 1 second. 2. Then she turned toward the window. Her shoulders began shaking. I reached for her. She pulled the blanket closer. "I don't want to see her." "Lily, I don't." I stopped. "All right. Can we go home without her?" I looked at my daughter. Then at the wedding ring on my hand. 15 years. I remembered Victoria at 27, standing outside a tiny courthouse after we married, laughing because rain had ruined her hair. I remembered our first apartment, her first major promotion, the night Lily was born, Victoria crying when she held her. Where had that woman gone? Maybe nowhere. Maybe I had simply spent 15 years refusing to see who she had become. I pulled out my phone. There was a number I hadn't called in 11 years. I still knew it by memory. I stepped into the hallway. Dialed. It rang once. Twice. "Cole office. This is Ethan." Silence. Then, "Mr. Cole?" "Yes." Another silence. Longer this time. "Is everything all right?" I looked through the glass at my daughter. "No." "What do you need?" I took off my wedding ring. Closed my hand around it. "Prepare the house." "Which house?" "Sir?" I looked toward the dark ocean beyond the hospital windows. "The one in Monterey." The man's breathing changed. "Are you coming back?" "Yes." "And Cole Maritime?" I closed my eyes. For 15 years. I had refused that question. Tonight. I didn't. Schedule the board. A pause. Then when? As soon as possible. Understood. I started to hang up. "Mr. Cole?" "Yes?" His voice softened. "Welcome home." I ended the call. Behind me, Lily slept. Somewhere else in the building. My wife was sitting beside Adrian Cross. She had made her choice. Now I was going to make mine. And unlike Victoria, I wouldn't regret it. Victoria finally came to see our daughter at 8:17 the next morning. I knew the exact time because I was watching the clock, not waiting for her. Counting. 22 hours had passed since Lily entered the water. 22 hours since Victoria redirected Rescue 1. Nearly 13 hours since Lily was admitted. Victoria walked into the room wearing yesterday's uniform. Her hair was tied back. There were dark circles beneath her eyes. For one stupid second, the old part of me wanted to ask whether she'd slept. 15 years of habit doesn't disappear overnight. Then I noticed Adrian's blood on her sleeve. The concern vanished. Victoria looked at Lily. She was sleeping. "How is she?" I stared at my wife. "You have access to the medical report." "Ethan. Mild hypothermia. Water inhalation. Bruised shoulder. Multiple cuts. Nightmares every time she falls asleep." Victoria's jaw tightened. "The doctors said there shouldn't be any permanent physical damage." Physical. I almost admired her ability to choose the worst possible word. "And Adrian?" Her expression changed. "There. Tiny. Almost invisible. But after 15 years, I knew every movement of her face. He's stable. Good." She frowned. "You don't mean that." "I do. And I did. I didn't want Adrian dead. Death would have been too simple. I wanted him alive when the truth arrived." Victoria crossed her arms. "We need to talk about yesterday." "Finally. You behaved recklessly." I stared at her. She continued. "You ignored direct safety instructions, commandeered emergency equipment, and entered an active rescue zone without authorization." I waited. Surely there was more. There wasn't. I laughed. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "You think this is funny?" "No. I think our marriage might be." "Ethan." Our daughter was drowning. "Victoria." She was not drowning when I made the decision. Her beacon had stopped. She had a flotation vest. So did Adrian. He was trapped aboard a compromised vessel. No, he wasn't. Victoria froze. I stepped closer. I saw him. He had already been extracted by then. He walked onto Rescue 1. He had a possible spinal injury. He walked. "You aren't a physician. And you're apparently not a mother." The words hit. Victoria's face hardened instantly. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Use Lily to punish me because you dislike Adrian." There it was. I had expected guilt, defensiveness, maybe even anger. But somehow she had found a way to make this about my supposed jealousy. "You think this is about Adrian?" You've resented him for years. I resented watching my wife treat another man like he was part of our marriage. He's my aide. He calls you at midnight. Because we work together. He came on our anniversary trip. There was an operational issue. You canceled Lily's birthday dinner because he needed you. He had an emergency. He had a flat tire. Victoria's lips pressed into a line. You're twisting everything. No, I'm finally putting it together. She looked away. That told me more than anything she could have said. I lowered my voice. One question. I don't have time for an interrogation. One question. Victoria. She looked at me. If Adrian's daughter had been in the water and Lily had been aboard that launch, would you have sent Rescue 1 to Lily? Silence. Victoria's eyes shifted. Just slightly. But she didn't answer. I nodded. That's what I thought. That's not fair. It's the fairest question I've ever asked you. You're reducing a complex operational decision to an emotional hypothetical. No, I'm removing the titles. I stepped closer. No Admiral Hale. No Commander Cross. No operational priorities. Just a mother, her daughter, and another man. Stop. Who do you choose? I said stop. Because we both know the answer. The door opened. Adrian walked in. Of course he did. His left arm was in a sling. There was a small bandage above his eyebrow. He looked tired but remarkably healthy for a man Victoria had treated as if he were seconds from death. Victoria? His eyes moved to me. Oh, Ethan. I stared at him. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. For approximately 2 seconds. I didn't realize you two were talking. Then leave. I said. Victoria immediately turned toward me. Ethan, that single warning contained more protection for Adrian than she'd shown our daughter in 22 hours. Adrian raised his good hand. No, it's okay. I should probably say something. You shouldn't. He ignored me. I feel terrible about what happened to Lily. I said nothing. If I'd known Victoria was going to redirect Rescue 1. You did. His expression flickered. What? You were on the same emergency channel. I was injured. But conscious. I was disoriented. You were shouting for Victoria by name. Victoria stepped between us. Enough. Adrian sighed. Ethan, I understand you're angry. That sentence nearly made me lose control. Not because he was wrong. Because he said it like I was a child. Like he was the reasonable man in my marriage. You understand nothing. I understand that your daughter was in danger. My daughter? He paused. I looked at Victoria. Interesting. What is? She asked. He said my daughter. Adrian's face tightened. That's not what I meant. No. Ethan, don't do this. Victoria said. I laughed quietly. You know what's incredible? I'm standing here after spending half the night listening to Lily wake up screaming because she thinks she's back in the ocean. And you're still worried about whether I'm making Adrian uncomfortable. Victoria looked toward Lily. For the first time, something resembling shame crossed her face. Adrian lowered his voice. Maybe I should go. Yes. Victoria touched his arm. You don't have to. I stared at her hand. Then at her. She noticed. Slowly. She removed it. Too late. I'll check on you later. Adrian said. Of course she would. He left. The door closed. I walked to the chair beside Lily's bed and picked up my bag. Victoria frowned. What are you doing? Leaving. With Lily? Yes. She hasn't been discharged. She will be in an hour. You can't just take her. I stopped. Watch me. Her face hardened. We are both her parents. That suddenly matters? Don't be childish. I almost couldn't believe it. Childish. You're angry. I understand that. But packing bags and making dramatic threats isn't going to solve anything. I haven't threatened you. You're acting like you're ending our marriage over one emergency decision. One? She stared at me. I smiled without humor. You really think yesterday was one decision? It was. No. Yesterday was just the first time your choices could have killed our daughter. Her face went pale. That's disgusting. Is it? You're deliberately trying to hurt me. No. Victoria. I picked up Lily's jacket. For the first time in years. I'm not trying to protect you from the consequences of your own decisions. She stared at me. Then her gaze moved toward my left hand. My ring was gone. I saw the exact moment she noticed. Her expression changed. Where is your wedding ring? In my pocket. Why? You know why? No. She stepped closer. Put it back on. I almost smiled. There was the commander. The woman who had spent so long giving orders that she'd forgotten some things couldn't be commanded. No. Ethan. We're leaving. Where? Somewhere Lily feels safe. This is her home. No. Home is where a 12-year-old believes her parents will come for her. Victoria flinched. Good. Maybe some part of her could still feel. You're overreacting. she said. There it was. The sentence that ended whatever remained. Adrian nearly died. I stared at her. Then I nodded slowly. Thank you. For what? For making this easy. Her expression tightened. What does that mean? It means I spent all night wondering whether 15 years deserved another conversation. I looked at the sleeping girl behind her. Now I know. Lily was discharged at 10:06. Victoria tried to walk beside her. Lily moved to my other side. Victoria noticed. She said nothing. Outside, a black SUV waited at the curb. Not ours. Victoria frowned. Whose car is that? Mine. We don't own that. You don't. The driver stepped out. Mr. Cole. Victoria looked at him, then at me. Something changed in her expression. She recognized professionalism when she saw it. Not a rideshare driver. Not a hired car from the hospital. Someone who knew me. Someone waiting specifically for me. He opened the rear door. Lily climbed inside. Victoria grabbed my arm. Where are you taking her? Monterey. Her grip tightened. We don't have a house in Monterey. I do. She stared at me. What are you talking about? I gently removed her hand. Goodbye. Victoria, you can't disappear with my daughter. I'm not disappearing. Then tell me the address. You'll get what you need through the proper channels. Her eyes widened. Proper channels? Yes. Ethan, what exactly are you planning? I looked at her. For years, Victoria had known me as the man who made breakfast, the husband who attended ceremonies, the father who handled school schedules, the man who worked quietly from a home office and never discussed money. She had forgotten that before becoming her husband, I had possessed a life of my own. That was partly my fault. I'd hidden it deliberately. When Victoria's career began accelerating, people whispered that she'd married into influence. She hated it. So I stepped backward. I stopped attending Cole board meetings. I refused formal titles. I transferred voting authority to trustees. When my father died, I allowed my uncle to remain acting chairman. I wanted Victoria to know every promotion was hers, every medal, every achievement. I never wanted her to wonder whether my surname had bought her success. So I became invisible. And eventually, Victoria started believing I truly was. I'll call you later, I said. Then I got into the SUV. The Monterey house overlooked the Pacific. Lily had only been there once. She'd been 4 years old. She didn't remember it. When we arrived, she stared through the window. Dad. Yeah? This is a hotel? No. Whose house is it? Ours. She blinked. Ours. Mine. Which means yours. She looked at the enormous glass and stone home. Then at me. Are we rich? I laughed for the first time in 24 hours. It's complicated. That's adult language for yes. Despite everything. I smiled. Your grandfather did very well. Mom said Grandpa owned a small shipping company. I looked toward the ocean. Your mother never asked many questions about him. That wasn't entirely fair. Victoria had asked in the beginning. I had given vague answers. Then life became busy. Eventually she stopped asking. Inside, Lily explored slowly. She found the room overlooking the water and immediately stopped. I don't want this one. My heart tightened. Okay, I don't want to see the ocean when I sleep. Then you won't. We chose a room facing the hills. I closed every curtain. At noon, Lily fell asleep. At 12:17, my phone rang. Victoria. I let it ring. Again. Again. On the fourth call, I answered. What? What did you do? Her voice sounded different. Not angry. Alarmed. About what? The house. I walked onto the terrace. What house? Our house. Our house. Don't play games with me. I just received a call from the property office. They said there has been a change in authorized occupancy. I leaned against the railing. Yes. What did you do? I removed myself. Silence. That doesn't explain why they're asking me to verify my residency status. The house belongs to the Cole Family Trust. Another silence. Longer. What? You heard me. You told me we bought it together. No. I told you it was our home. Ethan, I never said you owned it. Her breathing changed. What else? What else what? What else did you change? Nothing yet. Yet? I looked at the ocean. For the first time, I didn't feel afraid of losing Victoria. I felt free. I've instructed my advisors to separate everything that belongs to me from everything that belongs to you. You can't do that. I already did. The investment accounts? Some are mine. The coastal fund? Mine. The education trust? Lily's. The foundation? Which one? Silence. She hadn't expected that answer. The Hale Maritime Initiative. I almost smiled. The initiative that had put Victoria on magazine covers. the initiative that had financed scholarships, maritime research, and high-profile public programs. The initiative bearing her name. Primary funding comes from the Cole Foundation. Victoria stopped breathing for a second. That isn't possible. It is. You never told me. You never asked. Why would you fund it secretly? Because you wanted it to be yours. It is mine. No. I spoke softly. It carries your name. Those aren't the same thing. Ethan, stop whatever you're doing. I haven't done anything to you. Don't lie to me. I'm not. I looked through the window toward the hallway where Lily was sleeping. I haven't taken $1 that belongs to you. Then what is happening? I'm stopping. Stopping what? Paying. Silence. Supporting. More silence. Fixing. I could hear her breathing now. Making calls when something goes wrong. Ethan, opening doors. Her voice became quieter. What are you talking about? For 15 years. Victoria, you thought I was standing behind you because I had nowhere else to stand. I looked at my reflection in the glass. For the first time in years, I recognized the man looking back. You were wrong. Where are you? You know where. I'm coming there. No, you don't get to tell me I can't see my daughter. You can speak with Lily when she wants to speak with you. I am her mother. Then maybe you should have remembered that yesterday. She went silent. I almost hung up. Then she said something that proved she still didn't understand. This is because you're jealous of Adrian. I closed my eyes. Unbelievable. No. Then why are you doing this? Because when our daughter screamed for help, you heard her. I paused. And you sent the boat away. Ethan, I ended the call. For a while, I stood there listening to the waves. Then my other phone rang. A number only 6 people possessed. I answered. Cole. A familiar voice spoke. The directors have confirmed attendance. When? Tomorrow morning. All of them. All 11. I looked toward the horizon. And my uncle? He'll be there. Good. The man hesitated. Mr. Cole, the board is going to ask whether this is temporary. It isn't. Another pause. Then I need to know what authority you intend to exercise. I understood the question. For 11 years, my shares had remained under trust management. My voting rights had been delegated. My position existed on paper, but I had refused to use it. That was about to change. All of it. Silence. Then, understood. Chairman Cole. The title sounded strange. Heavy. Familiar. I hadn't used it since before Lily could walk. I ended the call. Behind me, I heard bare feet. Lily stood in the doorway. Her hair was messy from sleep. Dad. I immediately put the phone away. Hey, were you talking to Mom? No. She looked relieved. That hurt more than I expected. She walked over and hugged me. I wrapped my arms around her. Dad. Yeah? Are we going back? I knew exactly what she meant. Not the house. Not the city. Our old life. I looked down at her. No. Promise? I held her tighter. Promise. Across the state. Victoria still believed I was having an emotional reaction. She thought I would calm down. She thought I would return. She thought our finances, our home, our social circle, and my comfortable life all depended on her. She thought she held every card. By tomorrow morning, she would begin learning the truth. The house had never been hers. The foundation had never been hers. The network of people quietly supporting her had never been hers. And the husband she'd treated as disposable? He had never needed her money, her title, or her permission. For 15 years, I had chosen to stand in Victoria Hale's shadow. She mistook that choice for weakness. Now I was stepping out. And when I did, Victoria was going to discover just how much of her world had been standing on my shoulders. The first thing Victoria lost was not money. It was access. At 6:12 the next morning, while Lily was still asleep upstairs, my phone vibrated across the kitchen counter. I was making pancakes. For years, I had made breakfast almost every morning when I was home. Victoria used to joke that I was better with a skillet than any man who came from money had a right to be. Back then, I thought it was affectionate teasing. Now I understood she genuinely believed I had walked away from whatever modest family business I'd once possessed. She had no idea what the Cole name meant outside the circles she bothered to notice. My phone buzzed again. 11 missed calls. All from Victoria. I ignored them. Then another number appeared. Not hers. Daniel Mercer. My family's general counsel. I answered. Morning. Not for everyone. I smiled faintly. What happened? The Coastal Residence Administration contacted Admiral Hale at 5:43. That early? She called them first. Of course she did. What did they tell her? That the property is owned by the Cole Family Trust and that residential privileges are under review following a change in beneficiary use. I flipped a pancake. Good. Daniel was quiet for a second. You sure about this? Yes. This will get ugly. It already did. I looked toward the hallway. I could hear Lily moving upstairs. Yesterday, she had asked me to close the curtains because she couldn't stand looking at the ocean. That image erased any hesitation I might have had. Daniel continued. The vehicles are more complicated. Two are directly registered to you through the trust. One is hers. Leave hers alone. I plan to. Anything that belongs to Victoria stays with Victoria. And the joint accounts? Freeze only movement requiring my authorization. Don't restrict her personal funds. Understood. I don't want to punish her. Daniel gave a humorless laugh. You realize that's what she's going to call it. I don't care what she calls it. What do you want? Then, I turned off the stove. Separation. Financial? Everything. Daniel was silent. He had known me since I was 19. He had been at my wedding. He had visited Lily in the hospital when she was born. He knew exactly what I meant. All right, he said quietly. I'll make it clean. Thank you. And Ethan? Yeah? The board is already gathering. I looked at the clock. 7:04. I'll be there. Lily came downstairs wearing an oversized sweatshirt and socks. She stopped when she smelled breakfast. You made chocolate chip? Yes. Mom says chocolate at breakfast is irresponsible. I placed a plate in front of her. Your mother says a lot of things. Lily looked up. The joke had landed badly. I immediately regretted it. I sat across from her. Hey. She poked at the pancake. I didn't mean, I know. She stared at the syrup. Is Mom mad? Yes. At me? No. Are you sure? Completely. Because I don't want to talk to her. You don't have to until you're ready. She swallowed. Will she be mad about that? She can feel whatever she wants. I leaned forward. You are allowed to feel whatever you want to. That seemed to surprise her. Children and families built around one powerful person learn early to organize themselves around that person's mood. I had done it too. If Victoria was stressed, we stayed quiet. If Victoria was tired, we postponed plans. If Victoria had an urgent call, dinners ended. Birthdays moved. Vacations adjusted. Promises became flexible. I had spent years teaching Lily to understand her mother's responsibilities. I had never taught Victoria to understand Lily's needs. That failure belonged to me. Lily looked toward the kitchen windows. The curtains were open here, but the house faced the hills. No ocean. Dad. Yeah? Do you have to go somewhere? I glanced down at my shirt and jacket. Apparently, dressing properly had given me away. For a few hours. Her face tightened. Can I come? The question hit harder than it should have. I'm going to a meeting. I can sit somewhere. You don't have to. I don't want to stay here alone. You won't. I had already arranged for my cousin Rachel to come over. Rachel was one of the few people Lily knew from my side of the family. She lived nearby and had a daughter close to Lily's age. But I understood. This wasn't really about being alone. It was about waking up and discovering I'd gone somewhere she couldn't reach. The ocean had turned absence into danger. I sat beside her. You can come with me. Really? Really? Will Mom be there? No. Okay. The relief in her voice made my jaw tighten. Cole Maritime's Pacific headquarters sat behind a private harbor outside Monterey. The building was all glass, stone, and steel. It had been expanded twice since I last attended a board meeting in person. Lily stared through the SUV window. This is Grandpa's company? Part of it. She looked at me. What does that mean? It means your grandfather had a bad habit of buying things. She almost smiled. Like you? I bought pancakes. That doesn't count. The SUV stopped beneath the covered entrance. 3 people were waiting outside. The first was Daniel. The second was my uncle, Jonathan Cole. The third was a woman I hadn't seen in nearly 4 years. Margaret Sloan, Chief Executive Officer of Cole Maritime Holdings. Jonathan reached the car before the driver did. I stepped out. He looked older than I remembered. Silver hair, tired eyes, same broad shoulders. Then he saw Lily. Everything in his expression softened. Kiddo. Lily hesitated. Jonathan opened his arms, but didn't move toward her. That mattered. After a second, she stepped forward. He hugged her. Not tightly. Not for long. Just enough. How are you feeling? Okay. Your dad told me what happened. Lily looked down. Jonathan immediately changed the subject. You know, there's a bakery upstairs that makes cinnamon rolls the size of steering wheels. She looked up. Actually. I smiled. Classic Jonathan. He had spent 30 years running companies that negotiated contracts worth billions. But children liked him because he remembered the important things. Cinnamon rolls, video games, dogs. He looked at me over Lily's head. The humor disappeared. You ready? Yes. Margaret stepped forward. Chairman Cole. I almost told her not to call me that. Then I stopped myself. That reflex belonged to the old Ethan, the man who had spent years making himself smaller. Margaret. She shook my hand. It's good to have you back. We'll see whether you still feel that way after the meeting. I've survived your uncle for 12 years. I'm not worried. Jonathan snorted. Respect is dead. For a moment, things almost felt normal. Then my phone rang. Victoria. Again. I silenced it. Jonathan noticed. He said nothing. The boardroom occupied the top floor. 11 directors. 3 senior executives. Daniel. Jonathan. Margaret. And me. My chair at the head of the table had remained empty for years. No one commented when I sat in it. That somehow made the moment heavier. Lily had chosen to stay in Margaret's office with Rachel, who had arrived 10 minutes earlier. I was grateful. I didn't want Lily hearing any of this. Margaret opened the meeting. For the record, Ethan Cole has resumed active voting authority over the Cole Family Trust's controlling position. One of the directors, Peter Lang, adjusted his glasses. Effective immediately? Yes. Peter looked at me. May I ask why? You may. He waited. I said nothing. Jonathan almost smiled. Peter cleared his throat. Why now? Personal reasons. Another director leaned forward. Does this affect current strategy? Yes. That woke everyone up. Margaret looked at me carefully. How significantly? We're reviewing every non-core partnership that relies on discretionary coal funding. Peter frowned. That's broad. It's supposed to be. Daniel slid folders around the table. I continued. No active safety-critical contract is to be interrupted. No employee payroll. No essential operations. No obligations we legally owe. A director named Susan Patel nodded. So what are we cutting? Influence. That got their attention. I opened the folder. For 11 years, the Cole Foundation and affiliated entities have supported professional initiatives, educational programs, research partnerships, and public-facing projects that created relationships we didn't directly monetize. Margaret already knew where I was going. Her expression sharpened. You're talking about the Hale Network. Yes. Peter glanced at the page. The Maritime Futures Initiative. Yes. The Hale Scholarship Fund. Yes. The Pacific Readiness Symposium. Yes. Susan looked up. Those are all connected to Admiral Victoria Hale, my wife. No one spoke. I appreciated that. Jonathan folded his hands. Ethan, some of these programs do good work. I know. Then don't destroy them because of what happened. I won't. I looked around the table. Anything serving students, veterans, research, rescue capacity, or public welfare remains funded through neutral administration. Margaret understood first. You're removing her personal control. Yes. And branding. Yes. And discretionary access. Yes. Peter leaned back. So the programs remain. Admiral Hale stops benefiting from the relationship. Correct. Jonathan studied me. That sounds less like revenge than surgery. It is. I closed the folder. I'm not burning down anything useful. I thought of Lily in the water. I'm removing what never belonged to her. Victoria called during the lunch break. This time, I answered. Not because I wanted to. Because Daniel advised me to establish clear communication. What did you do? No hello. No question about Lily. Straight to accusation. I stood outside on the harbor balcony. Good afternoon to you too. The Hale Maritime Initiative just informed me that its executive steering structure has been dissolved. Correct. They removed my name from the upcoming symposium. Correct. The foundation said future donations will be administered independently. Correct. She went silent. Then, you planned this. No. You expect me to believe that? I decided it yesterday. You're using money to humiliate me. No. You are. Victoria, the scholarships still exist. Silence. The research grants still exist. More silence. The rescue technology program still exists. I leaned against the railing. The only thing being removed is your personal control. You had no right. They were funded by my family. They were built around my work. And they'll continue supporting that work. Without me? Yes. Her breathing sharpened. You're punishing me. I stared at the water. No. Punishment would mean taking something you own. This was my initiative. It had your name. Same thing. No. I remembered saying almost the same thing yesterday. Apparently, she still hadn't understood it. You've spent so long around people who said yes to you that you've forgotten the difference between access and ownership. Don't lecture me. Then stop calling. I need you to reverse this. No. Ethan. No. She lowered her voice. That usually meant she was trying a different tactic. We are married. Legally. For the moment. The silence on the other end became absolute. When she spoke again, the anger was gone. For the moment? Yes. You're talking about divorce? I haven't filed anything today. Today? I could almost see her standing somewhere. Frozen. For the first time. She sounded less like Admiral Hale and more like my wife. Ethan, you don't end 15 years over one bad day. I closed my eyes. One bad day? You know what I mean. No, I don't. Yesterday was chaos. Yesterday was clarity. That isn't fair. Lily asked me whether you knew she was in the water. Victoria didn't answer. I told her the truth. You what? She asked. I answered. Her voice rose. You had no right to put that on her. I nearly laughed. I put it on her. You should have protected her. From what? From adult decisions she doesn't understand. Victoria. My voice dropped. She watched Rescue 1 turn away. Silence. She doesn't need me to explain what happened. You're making me the villain. No. I looked toward the horizon. You did that yourself. She hung up. By late afternoon, the second layer began falling apart. It wasn't dramatic. No explosions. No headlines. Just phone calls. One private maritime supplier informed Victoria's office that a technology demonstration scheduled for next month would be postponed. Another organization quietly reassigned keynote placement at an international symposium. A philanthropic board removed Victoria from an advisory role that had been funded through coal sponsorship. Nothing technically belonged to her. That was the problem. She had confused proximity with possession. At 4:38, Adrian called me. I almost ignored him. Then curiosity won. What? Ethan. His voice carried that careful calm I had grown to despise. We need to talk. No, we don't. This is getting out of hand. Then step away from it. Victoria's under enormous pressure. I laughed once. Did she send you? No, of course not. Adrian never acted like a messenger. He preferred pretending he was the reasonable intermediary who somehow happened to stand in the middle of my marriage. I called because I think we both want what's best for her. There is no we. That's exactly the attitude making this worse. I looked through the glass wall. Lily sat on the floor of Margaret's office playing cards with Rachel's daughter. For the first time since the accident, she had laughed twice. I watched her face. Then I answered. You want to know what's making this worse? Sure. You. Silence. That seems unnecessarily hostile. You stood on a rescue boat while my daughter was still in the water. I didn't make Victoria's decision. You benefited from it. I was injured. You had a bandage on your forehead. You don't know the extent of my injuries. I know you walked. He inhaled slowly. Ethan, I understand you're emotional. There was that word again. Emotional. A convenient label men like Adrian used when they wanted to dismiss a reaction they couldn't control. You keep saying that. Because it's true. No. Because it makes you feel safer. His voice hardened. I don't know what that means. It means you think I'm angry enough to be irrational. You clearly are. That's what you're counting on. A pause. For what? For me to overreact. I smiled faintly. So later, everything becomes Ethan's breakdown. That is not what I'm doing. Then you won't mind if I review the accident. Silence. Tiny. Barely there. But it existed. I noticed. Review what? He asked. The rescue sequence. There will already be a formal review. I mean mine. You don't have authority over naval operations. No. I watched a cargo vessel move through the harbor. But I do have access to every coal-built communications relay, telemetry package, maintenance contract, and emergency logging system used during that demonstration. Another silence. Longer. His voice changed. Why would you need that? That was the moment. The first crack. I heard it. I thought you said there was nothing to hide. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Ethan, have a good day. Adrian. I ended the call. Then I called Daniel. Pull everything. Everything what? From the demonstration. He understood immediately. Maintenance. All of it. Telemetry? Yes. Communications? Yes. Third-party suppliers? Yes. Daniel paused. You suspect something? I don't know. But? I stared through the glass. Lily had stopped laughing. She was staring at nothing. Her hands were wrapped tightly around a playing card. Adrian sounded afraid. Daniel's tone sharpened. That enough for you? No. I thought about it. But it's enough to look. That night, Victoria called again. I didn't answer. She sent a message instead. You cannot dismantle my life because you're angry. I stared at the screen, then typed, "I'm not dismantling your life." 3 dots appeared. "Then what do you call this?" I looked around the house. At the quiet hallway. At Lily's closed door. At the family photos stored in boxes because I hadn't had the energy to unpack them. I typed, "Separating yours from mine." Her response came immediately. "They're the same thing." I read it twice. Then I finally understood the deepest problem in our marriage. Victoria truly believed that. Not romantically. Practically. What was mine had become ours. What was ours had become hers. Her career mattered more. Her schedule mattered more. Her emergencies mattered more. Her relationships mattered more. My money was support. My time was support. My family contacts were support. My silence was support. My love was support. She had taken so much for granted that she no longer recognized it as something I was choosing to give. So I sent one final message. "No, they used to be." Then I shut off the phone. The next morning, Daniel arrived before breakfast. He looked tired. That usually meant he'd found something. I poured him coffee. "What?" He placed a thin folder on the table. "Preliminary maintenance records." I opened it. What am I looking at? The evacuation craft Lily was on. My hand stopped. It had a service flag. When? 17 days before the demonstration. I looked up. For what? Steering instability and intermittent emergency beacon failure. The kitchen went silent. I felt something cold move through my chest. It was cleared. Yes. By whom? That's where it gets interesting. Daniel turned one page. Initial technician refused to clear it. Another page. A secondary approval was requested. I scanned the signature line. The name wasn't Victoria's. It wasn't Adrian's either. But I recognized the departmental authorization code. It belonged to Adrian's operational group. I looked at Daniel, who requested the override. "We don't know yet." "Find out." "We are." I turned another page. A schedule adjustment. The route Lily's vessel had been assigned to. Changed 48 hours before the event. Requested by Commander Adrian Cross. My hands went completely still. Daniel watched me. "Ethan, tell me there's a good reason." "There may be." "Tell me." "I can't." I closed the folder. For the first time since the accident, anger wasn't the strongest thing I felt. Fear was. Because if Adrian had known that craft was compromised, if he'd moved Lily into its route, if any part of that day had been avoidable, then what happened wasn't simply Victoria making an unforgivable choice. It might have started long before she gave the order. And if that was true, I was going to find out exactly why. 3 days later, Victoria walked into a ballroom and discovered she had married a stranger. At least, that was how she described it later. For me, the evening began with Lily refusing to attend. "I don't want to wear a dress." "You don't have to." "I don't want people asking about the accident." "They won't." "How do you know?" "Because I'm not taking you." She blinked. "Oh." I smiled. "You thought this was an argument?" Usually when adults say you don't have to, they mean you definitely have to. That sounds suspiciously specific. She shrugged. "Mom." One word. Enough said. I sat beside her on the couch. "I have to attend tonight." "Rachel's staying here." "Is it one of Mom's events?" "Not exactly." "Will she be there?" "Yes." Lily's face changed. I saw it immediately. "I'm not going to fight with her." "Promise?" "Yes." "Even if she starts it?" I smiled faintly. "I'll try very hard." "That is not a promise." "You sound like my lawyer." "Maybe I should charge you." "For what?" "Emotional support." I laughed. She did too. A small sound, but real. I would have paid anything to hear it. Before leaving, I checked the curtains in her room. Closed. Nightlight on. Phone charged. Rachel downstairs. Every detail mattered now. Because Lily had stopped assuming adults would keep her safe, I intended to rebuild that assumption piece by piece. The Pacific Maritime Leadership Gala was held at the Halcyon Hotel in San Francisco. For years, I had attended events like it through the side entrance. Not literally. Socially. Victoria entered through the front. People gathered around her. Photographers called her name. Senior officials shook her hand. Executives wanted 5 minutes. Donors wanted dinner. I stood one step behind. Always one step. People sometimes asked what I did. I usually answered, investments. It was vague enough to end the conversation. Victoria never corrected them. In the beginning, I preferred it that way. Later, I realized she preferred it too. A husband with a quiet background was easier. Less competition. Less curiosity. No awkward questions about why coal-linked companies appeared around so many milestones in her career. That night, I arrived alone. No Victoria. No family role. No intention of standing behind anyone. The car stopped beneath the hotel's illuminated entrance. The valet opened my door. "Mr. Cole." I stepped out. 3 people turned immediately, then 6, then more. I had forgotten how quickly certain rooms recognized power. Not celebrity. Power. There was a difference. Celebrity made people stare. Power made them move. A man crossed the entrance hall before I reached the ballroom. Thomas Bellamy, founder of Bellamy Shipping. Net worth somewhere north of $8 billion. Old friend of my father. He smiled broadly. "Ethan Cole." He grabbed my hand with both of his. "I thought you were dead. Good to see you too. Thomas, you disappear for a decade. Refuse every invitation I send. And then stroll into my gala looking younger than I do. You're 73. Exactly. Disrespectful." I laughed. He pulled me into a brief hug. "You're back?" "Yes." His expression changed. Fully serious now. Back. "Yes." He exhaled. "Well." Then he smiled. "Half this room is about to have a very interesting evening." I looked toward the ballroom doors. "I'd prefer boring." "You're a Cole." Boring was never available. Inside, recognition spread in waves. Some knew me personally. Some knew the name. Some only knew what the name controlled. Ports, shipyards, logistics systems, marine satellite networks, advanced navigation, emergency communications, commercial fleets, research contracts. We were not the largest company in any single category. That had been my father's genius. Cole Maritime was everywhere without looking like it was everywhere. A ship didn't need our name painted on its hull to depend on our systems. A harbor didn't need Cole branding to use infrastructure we'd financed. A public program didn't need to acknowledge us to be built on one of our grants. Influence worked best when people forgot it was there. For 11 years. I had forgotten too. "Ethan." Margaret approached with 2 executives. Both shook my hand. One said, "We heard you resumed the chair. News travels. This room leaks faster than a cracked hull." Margaret glanced past me. She just arrived. I didn't turn. I didn't need to ask who. The energy in the room shifted. Victoria Hale had spent years learning how to enter a room. She did it beautifully. Head high, back straight, elegant dark blue gown. Every inch the woman magazines photographed beside phrases like leadership and excellence. Adrian walked beside her. That surprised me less than it should have. His arm was no longer in a sling. Apparently, the near-fatal injury had healed with miraculous speed. Margaret noticed my expression. "You okay?" "Yes." "Want me to have someone keep Cross away?" "No." I looked across the room. Victoria had not seen me yet. "Let him come." She noticed me 5 minutes later. I was speaking with Thomas and the CEO of an international shipping consortium. Victoria's smile vanished. Adrian followed her gaze. His face changed too. He knew enough about the room to realize something was wrong. Not because I was there. Because of who was standing with me. Victoria excused herself from a donor and walked over. Adrian came with her. "Of course." "Ethan." "Victoria." She glanced at Thomas. Recognition crossed her face. "Mr. Bellamy." Thomas smiled. "Admiral." They had met before. Many times. At conferences. Foundation dinners. Industry briefings. Thomas had once personally endorsed one of Victoria's public initiatives. She probably assumed he had done it because of her. Then Thomas put a hand on my shoulder. "I was just telling Ethan his father would have been proud to see him finally stop hiding." Victoria's eyes moved to me. "His father?" Thomas blinked, then looked between us. The old man was too experienced to ask the obvious question, but his silence did it for him. Victoria said slowly, "You knew Ethan's father?" Thomas laughed. "Knew him?" He looked at me. "Robert Cole and I spent 30 years trying to steal contracts from each other." Victoria went still. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Thomas continued, "He was the best bastard I ever competed against." Thomas. "What?" "He's dead. He can't sue me." The shipping CEO beside us laughed. Victoria didn't. "Robert Cole." She repeated. "Yes. Cole Maritime." Now Thomas stopped smiling. He looked at me, then at her. "You didn't know?" There it was. The moment. Small. Quiet. Devastating. I could have rescued her. For years. That would have been my instinct. Interrupt. Make a joke. Change the subject. Protect Victoria from embarrassment. I did nothing. She looked directly at me. "Ethan." Adrian stepped in. "I'm sure this is some misunderstanding." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "What part?" Adrian smiled politely. "Ethan's family had investments in shipping. Victoria has mentioned that." Thomas looked at me, then laughed so loudly 2 nearby people turned. "Investments?" I closed my eyes briefly. There went boring. Thomas pointed around the room. My boy, half the communications technology in this building traces back to companies your family owns. Victoria's face lost color. Adrian stopped smiling. I spoke. Thomas. All right. He held up his hands. I'll behave. He absolutely would not. Victoria lowered her voice. Can we talk? We are talking. Privately. No. Her eyes flashed. Ethan. What? What is this? I glanced around. A gala. You know what I mean. I did. But before I could answer, a voice came over the ballroom speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Thomas smiled. Perfect timing. I looked at him. What did you do? Nothing. That answer worried me. Our table was at the front. Victoria discovered that when she checked the seating chart. Her name was at table 4. Mine was at table 1. She stared at the display, then at me. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Adrian leaned closer to her and whispered something. She shook her head. Margaret approached. Ethan, they're ready. Victoria heard her. Ready for what? Margaret stopped. She knew Victoria well enough to understand the significance of the question. For Mr. Cole's introduction. Victoria looked at me. What introduction? I sighed. I hadn't wanted the evening to become theater. Unfortunately, Thomas Bellamy loved theater. It's ceremonial. For what? I didn't answer quickly enough. Margaret did. His return as executive chairman. Victoria's face emptied. Not shock. Not anger. Something beyond both. She stared at Margaret. Of Cole Maritime? Yes. Adrian spoke first. That isn't possible. Margaret looked at him. I assure you it is. He doesn't work there. He owns the controlling interest. Adrian's jaw tightened. Victoria said nothing. Absolutely nothing. For the first time in the 15 years I'd known her. Victoria Hale had no words. I walked toward the stage. Thomas gave the introduction. Naturally, he ignored the prepared script almost immediately. Most people in this room know the Cole name. A few polite laughs. Some of us wish we didn't. More laughter. Robert Cole built a maritime network that became one of the most influential private systems in modern shipping. The screen behind him displayed the Cole Maritime logo. I hadn't seen it this large in years. Thomas continued. But tonight isn't about Robert. He looked toward me. It's about the man who walked away from all of it. The room quieted. For more than a decade, Ethan Cole surrendered day-to-day authority, delegated his voting rights, and refused a public leadership position most people here would fight their own relatives to obtain. Laughter again. I didn't smile. My eyes had found Victoria. She sat perfectly still. Adrian beside her. Thomas went on. Many of us wondered why. Don't. Please don't. Thomas glanced at Victoria's table. Of course he did. The answer, as I understand it, was family. The room changed. Victoria looked down. For the first time, I saw embarrassment on her face. Not public embarrassment. Private. The kind that comes when the story you've told yourself about someone begins to fall apart. Thomas finished with unusual restraint. Tonight, Ethan returns as executive chairman of Cole Maritime Holdings. Applause filled the ballroom. I walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. For a moment, I thought about every ceremony where I'd stood at the back while Victoria was applauded. I had been proud of her. Genuinely. That was the painful part. None of my sacrifices had been false. I had wanted her to rise. I had just never imagined she'd rise so high she'd stop seeing who was holding the ladder. I stepped behind the podium. I'll keep this short. Thomas laughed loudly from the side. No, he won't. More laughter. I smiled. I haven't stood here in 11 years. The room settled, and I didn't expect to come back this way. My eyes moved toward Victoria. Her face remained unreadable. My father believed leadership was measured by what happened when no one was watching. I paused. I've spent a long time away from this company because I believed there were things more important than titles. Silence. I still believe that. I thought of Lily. This return isn't about reclaiming status. My throat tightened slightly. It's about remembering responsibility. I looked across the room. Cole Maritime will expand investment in emergency response technology, vessel safety auditing, independent rescue systems, and civilian maritime protection. Several people began taking notes. We will also review every public-private program attached to our funding. Victoria looked up. There it was. She understood that sentence. Programs that serve people will continue. I held her gaze. Programs that serve individuals will not. The room had no idea what I meant. Victoria did. Adrian did too. I finished 2 minutes later. The applause was polite at first, Then louder. I stepped down. Thomas caught my arm. Short enough? No. Ungrateful. Victoria intercepted me near a side corridor. Alone. Adrian was nowhere in sight. That surprised me. She grabbed my wrist. Office. What? There. She pointed toward a private conference room. I followed. Not because she ordered me. Because I wanted this conversation finished. The door closed behind us. She turned immediately. Who are you? I stared at her. Of all the things I expected her to say, that wasn't one. You know who I am. No. Her voice shook. Barely. But it did. I know the man who makes coffee at 6 in the morning. That is me. The man who handles Lily's school schedule. Also me. The man who told me his family had a small shipping business. I said my family worked in shipping. You let me believe. I let you believe what? That you had nothing to do with this. She gestured toward the ballroom. The companies. The foundations. The people out there. You never asked. Her eyes widened. Don't you dare say that again. Why? Because you're making this my fault. No. I leaned against the table. I'm telling you the truth. You lied by omission. Yes. That stopped her. I had no interest in pretending innocence. I hid it. Why? Because you hated what people said when we first married. Her face changed. She remembered. Of course she did. When Victoria and I got married. She was ambitious. Brilliant. And furious at anyone who suggested my surname might help her career. At one dinner, an older executive had joked that she'd married well. She cried in the car afterward. Not because he insulted me. Because she believed he'd insulted her. So I made a decision. A stupid, loving decision. I disappeared. I stopped attending public coal events. I said, I refused a board seat. Victoria said nothing. I asked my father not to use my name when we supported projects connected to your field. Her lips parted. No. Yes. You're saying your family funded some things. How many? Enough. She stepped backward. The anger was draining from her face. Something worse was replacing it. Understanding. The Maritime Fellowship. Yes. Her breathing changed. The Coastal Emergency Research Grant. Yes. The Bellamy Partnership. I made the introduction. She stared at me. No. Yes. Thomas told me he admired my work. He did. So why? Both things can be true. I kept my voice calm. You earned your career. Victoria. I meant that. I never bought your promotions. Her eyes stayed on me. I never purchased your reputation. I paused. But I opened doors. Silence. I funded rooms. More silence. I introduced people. She looked down. And when someone questioned whether you deserved to be there, I told them you did. Her jaw tightened. Why didn't you tell me? Because I loved you. That hurt her. I saw it. Good. It hurt me too. I wanted you to believe your success was yours. It was. I know. Then why take everything now? There it was again. Take. I shook my head. I haven't. You removed me from programs. Programs my foundation funds. You destabilized partnerships. Partnerships built on relationships I maintained. You humiliated me tonight. I didn't invite you. Her eyes flashed. You knew I would be here. Yes. And you let me find out in front of everyone. I thought about Lily watching Rescue 1 turn away. Then I looked at my wife. You're right. She seemed surprised. I could have warned you. Why didn't you? I considered lying. I didn't. Because I'm tired of protecting you from consequences. Her expression hardened. This is revenge. No. Then what is it? Distance. From me? Yes. She stared at me. I made one mistake. I almost laughed. You still believe that? It was an emergency decision. It was a choice. I did what I thought was necessary. Then say it. What? I stepped closer. Say you would make the same choice again. She froze. Say Adrian was the correct choice. Silence. Say leaving Lily in the water was necessary. Her eyes moved away. Ethan. Say it. I can't answer a hypothetical after the fact. It isn't hypothetical. She looked at me. For a second, the commander disappeared. My wife stood there instead. Tired. Confused. Afraid. I didn't think she was going to die. My chest tightened. But you knew she could. Victoria's eyes filled. She blinked quickly. I thought Rescue 2 would reach her. It didn't. I know. I reached her. I know. You sent Rescue 1 to Adrian. I know. The words exploded out of her. Silence followed. She turned away. I could see her shoulders rise and fall. For a moment, I thought she might finally say it. I'm sorry. I chose wrong. I failed her. Instead, she whispered, Adrian was trapped. The door inside me closed again. Not slammed. Closed. Quietly. Completely. I nodded. There it is. She turned. What? Your answer. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. I opened the door. Ethan. I stopped. Her voice changed. Are you really leaving me? I looked back. For 15 years. That question would have destroyed me. Now all I could see was Lily's yellow life vest disappearing behind a wave. You left first. Then I walked out. Adrian was waiting near the hallway. He had heard at least some of it. I could tell. He stepped toward me. Ethan. I kept walking. Wait. I stopped. He lowered his voice. You're making Victoria doubt herself. I looked at him. She should. You don't understand what command requires. And you do? Yes. I studied his face. Confident. Controlled. But there was tension around his eyes. The same tension I'd heard on the phone. You know. I said. I received some interesting maintenance records. His expression didn't move. Almost. What records? The craft Lily was assigned. A pause. Why are you reviewing those? I smiled faintly. You asked me that before. Because it's inappropriate. No. I stepped closer. Because you're nervous. His eyes hardened. You think I caused the accident? I didn't say that. Then stop implying it. I didn't imply anything. I lowered my voice. But since you brought it up, he said nothing. The craft had a service warning. His jaw tightened. Many vessels receive service warnings. Emergency beacon instability. No response. Steering irregularity. Still nothing. I watched him. You knew? No. Too fast. I smiled. He realized it. So did I? I didn't ask whether you approved it. He stared at me. I continued. I asked whether you knew. I already answered. Good. I stepped away. Then you won't mind the audit. His face changed. Very slightly. What audit? Every maintenance record. I watched him carefully. Every schedule change. His eyes sharpened. Every communication log. Silence. And every instruction issued in the 72 hours before the demonstration. For the first time, Commander Adrian Cross looked afraid. Not much. Enough. I smiled. Good night. I left him standing there. By the time I reached the elevator, my phone vibrated. Daniel. One message. We identified the person who requested the maintenance override. I opened it. Another message arrived. It came from Cross's office. Then a third. And Ethan, there's more. The route change placing Lily's craft in that sector was approved using Adrian Cross's personal authorization code. I stared at the screen. The elevator doors opened. People stepped out. I didn't move. The doors closed again. For 3 days. I had believed the worst moment of my life was hearing Victoria send Rescue 1 toward Adrian. Now I wasn't sure. Because if Adrian had manipulated the vessel assignment before the accident, then Lily had not simply been unlucky. She had been placed in danger by a man my wife trusted more than her own family. And Victoria had nearly sacrificed our daughter to save him. I called Daniel. He answered immediately. Tell me everything. Daniel didn't tell me everything over the phone. He told me to come downstairs. That alone was enough to make me nervous. He was waiting in the hotel lobby across from the gala venue. Laptop open. Jacket off. Tie loose. I'd known Daniel Mercer most of my adult life. He didn't loosen his tie unless something had gone very wrong. I sat across from him. What did you find? He turned the laptop toward me. First, I need you to understand that none of this proves intent. I know. It proves irregularities. Show me. He opened the first file. Maintenance request. Evacuation craft 14B, 17 days before the demonstration. Steering response inconsistent under load. Emergency transponder intermittent. Removed from public operational use pending full inspection. Signed by Senior Technician Michael Reeves. Daniel clicked the next file. 3 days later, a secondary approval had been entered. Temporary operational clearance granted for limited demonstration use. Approval origin, Commander Adrian Cross's office. I stared at the line. Who signed it? Administrative Lieutenant named Eric Tanner. So not Adrian. No. Did Tanner have authority? Technically. Why would he override a senior technician? Daniel looked at me. He says he didn't. I went still. What? He says he never submitted this. My jaw tightened. Forged? Possibly. Can we prove that? Not yet. Daniel opened another record. Now look at the routing schedule. Lily's group had originally been assigned to Sector 3, closer to shore, 48 hours before the demonstration. Her craft was moved to Sector 7, the same sector where Adrian was conducting his high-speed maneuver. Requested by Commander Adrian Cross. Why? Official reason says enhanced public visibility and exercise integration. I leaned back. Meaning? He wanted more assets around his demonstration. And Lily's craft happened to be one. Yes. I stared at the screen. Daniel continued. There is also video. My stomach dropped. From where? Cole Maritime supplied 2 stabilized camera systems to one of the civilian observation vessels. He clicked play. The image showed gray water beneath gathering clouds. Adrian's launch entered frame at speed. Too fast. Even I could tell. He cut sharply across a safety lane. A smaller support vessel veered. Then Lily's evacuation craft changed course to avoid the wake. The bow struck a heavy swell at the wrong angle. The craft rolled. I stopped breathing. Bodies disappeared into the water. Lily was one of them. Daniel paused the video. I couldn't speak. I'd imagined the accident 1,000 times since that day. Now I had watched it happen. Play it again. Ethan, again. He did. Adrian's launch. Sharp turn. Wake. Evasive movement. Roll. Lily gone. I watched 3 times. By the 4th, my hands had stopped shaking. That scared me more than the shaking. Was Adrian ordered to make that maneuver? No. Was it part of the approved demonstration? No. Why did he do it? We don't know. I closed the laptop halfway. Find out. There are audio logs. I looked at him. What kind? His communications before the maneuver. Play them. Daniel hesitated. Do it. The first transmission was Adrian speaking to an operations coordinator. Senior observers have clear line of sight? A reply. Affirmative. Good. I'm going to bring the launch closer to the demonstration lane. The coordinator responded immediately. Negative. Maintain approved route. Adrian laughed. Relax. They'll like the show. Then the audio ended. I stared at Daniel. He did it for an audience. That's what it looks like. For attention. Yes. I stood. The chair scraped across the floor. Daniel rose too. Ethan. He risked everyone in that sector because he wanted to impress people. We still need the full record. He knew the craft was there. Yes. He moved it there. Yes. And then he ignored the route. Yes. I walked toward the window. Across the street. The gala was ending. Black cars pulled away. People laughed beneath the hotel lights. My daughter had almost died because Adrian Cross wanted applause. And Victoria had sent the rescue boat to him. I turned. Does Victoria know any of this? Not yet. Good. Daniel frowned. Good. I want to tell Adrian first. I found him 20 minutes later. He was in the underground parking structure, walking toward his car. Alone. Adrian. He stopped. Turned. For a second. He looked annoyed. Then he saw my face. The annoyance disappeared. Ethan. I walked toward him. We need to talk. He gave a short laugh. Now you want to talk? Yes. About your audit? About Lily. His eyes narrowed. What about her? I stopped a few feet away. Why did you move evacuation craft 14B into Sector 7? Nothing. No confusion. No surprise. Just calculation. That told me everything. I don't remember individual asset assignments. I didn't ask whether you remembered. He looked toward his car, then back at me. Operational planning changes constantly. Your personal authorization code approved the route. Then I approved it. Why? Probably because it made sense. It put children inside your maneuver area. His expression hardened. It was a controlled demonstration. You broke the approved route. That isn't your business. My daughter went into the water. That was an accident. Because of your wake. He froze. Just slightly. I smiled without humor. We have video. Silence. High-definition stabilized footage. His jaw tightened. And communications. He didn't answer. You were told to maintain your route. Still nothing. You ignored it because senior observers had line of sight. That's not what happened. Then tell me what happened. He stepped closer. The weather shifted. After you accelerated. The support vessel moved unpredictably. After your illegal turn. You don't understand maritime operations. I laughed. No. Apparently, I just own half the technology recording them. That landed. He looked away. I lowered my voice. Did you know 14B had a service warning? No. You answered too fast. I didn't. Someone in your office overrode it. Not me. Then who? I don't know. Interesting. What? You're not asking what the warning was. He went silent. I stepped closer. You already know. His face hardened. Careful. Or what? You think money makes you untouchable? No. I smiled. I think evidence makes you nervous. His voice dropped. Victoria won't believe you. There it was. Not denial. Victoria. She will when she sees it. He laughed quietly. You really don't know your wife. I stared at him. Adrian continued. She has spent years trusting me in situations you could never understand. You mean situations you made sure I wasn't part of? You chose to stay home. I chose to raise our daughter. You chose comfort. I almost hit him. Almost. Then I remembered Daniel's warning. Get the truth. Don't give him an escape. So I asked the question that mattered. Why do you hate me? His expression shifted. I don't. Yes. You do. You're irrelevant to me. Then why spend years pushing into my marriage? He smiled. That smile told me I'd finally reached the right place. You really want to know? Yes. Because she respected you. I said nothing. His voice became bitter. Do you know how many times I heard your name? I stared at him. She'd be exhausted after an 18-hour day. And somehow she'd still say Ethan would understand. His jaw tightened. Ethan will handle Lily. Ethan doesn't complain. Ethan never needs anything. He laughed once. I hated you before I even knew you. That sounds pathetic. It was irritating. No. I stepped closer. It was jealousy. He smiled again. Maybe. At least admit it. Fine. His eyes met mine. I wanted to know whether, when it really mattered, Victoria would choose you or me. My blood went cold. What did you say? His expression changed. He realized he'd gone too far. But it was too late. You heard me. You planned that accident? No. Did you? No, for the first time. His composure cracked. I didn't plan an accident. Then what did you mean? He looked away. I meant over the years. No. I stepped forward. You said when it really mattered. He exhaled. The accident happened. She made a choice. That's all. And you liked it. Silence. You liked knowing she picked you. His eyes returned to mine. And then he made the worst mistake of his life. He smiled. When it mattered, she chose me. I stared at him, then slowly reached into my jacket pocket. Adrian's smile vanished. I pulled out my phone. The recording app was still running. His face emptied. I ended the recording. That's why you already lost. He lunged toward me. I stepped back. Delete it. No. You recorded me without permission. Daniel can argue about that later. His breathing became heavy. You think this changes anything? Yes. You think Victoria will leave me because you're jealous? No. I looked him straight in the eye. She'll leave you when she realizes you enjoyed watching her destroy her own family for you. I walked away. He called after me. Ethan. I didn't turn. Because for the first time, I understood Adrian completely. He hadn't necessarily engineered the storm. He hadn't planned for Lily to almost drown. But he had created the conditions. Moved pieces. Broken rules. Taken risks. All because he wanted attention. And when the disaster came, he had discovered something he secretly wanted to know. Victoria would choose him. The question now was whether she'd still make that choice after she knew what he had done. The answer came sooner than I expected. At 1:18 the next afternoon, Daniel called. The review board obtained the same route footage. Already? Someone submitted it anonymously. I frowned. Not us. No. Who? Unknown. My instinct said Adrian. Then I rejected it. Why would he submit evidence against himself? Daniel continued. Victoria has been ordered to attend a closed emergency review tomorrow. Will Adrian be there? Yes. And the rescue audio? All of it. I stopped. All. Yes. My hand tightened around the phone. Including Lily? Yes. I looked toward the living room. Lily was watching a movie with Rachel. She had no idea her voice was about to be played in a room full of adults. Can they do that? It's part of the operational record. I closed my eyes. Daniel. Yeah? Make sure no version of that audio reaches the press. I already did. Whatever it costs. Understood. I looked out the window. Tomorrow Victoria would finally hear everything. Not through my anger. Not through Lily's tears. Not through memory. Through the actual recording. Her daughter's voice. Her own order. And the silence between them. Maybe then she'd understand. Maybe then she'd finally stop calling it one bad decision. Victoria did not call me the morning of the review. That was unusual. For 4 days. She had called constantly. Angry calls. Defensive calls. Calls where she demanded explanations for financial changes. Calls where she tried to reach Lily through me. That morning. Nothing. At 10:42. My phone finally rang. Not Victoria. Margaret. Are you watching? Watching what? News. No. Good. Don't. I straightened. What happened? Nothing public yet. But word is spreading that the emergency review expanded. How? Maintenance irregularities. I closed my eyes. Adrian. Looks like it. Victoria? Still inside. I checked the clock. The review had started at 8. Nearly 3 hours. Can we get a transcript? Eventually. I need it as soon as legally available. You'll have it. I hung up. Then Lily walked into my office. She looked at me. Was that about Mom? There was no point lying. Yes. Is she in trouble? I hesitated. I don't know yet. Lily leaned against the doorframe. Because she left me? I felt my chest tighten, partly because of decisions made that day. She nodded, then asked, "Is Mr. Cross in trouble?" "Possibly." "Good." The word was so quiet I almost missed it. I didn't correct her. Maybe I should have. But adults expect children to be morally clean after adults break them. That seemed unfair. She was allowed to be angry. At 12:06, Victoria called. I answered immediately. There was no sound on the other end. "Victoria?" "Nothing." Then I heard breathing. Uneven. "Victoria." Her voice came out broken. She called for me. I closed my eyes. I knew exactly what she meant. "You heard the audio." She called for me. I sat down. Victoria inhaled sharply. 3 times. I said nothing. "Ethan." She said, "Mom. Can you hear me?" Her voice cracked completely. I heard a muffled sound. Maybe she was crying. In 15 years, I had seen Victoria cry fewer than 10 times. She always hated it. Always turned away. Always regained control. Not now. I heard myself. Her words were barely audible. I heard myself answer the channel. I looked toward the closed office door. "Victoria, no." She interrupted me. "Don't make it easier." I went quiet. They played the timing. Her breathing shuddered. Lily's first distress call reached command 37 seconds before Adrian's final emergency transmission. I knew. Daniel had told me. Victoria continued. I thought she stopped. What? I thought they were almost simultaneous. They were close. No. Her voice hardened against herself. No. Ethan. I stared at the desk. She called first. Yes. They marked it on the screen. I could picture it. Audio timeline. Lily. Then Adrian. Then Victoria's order. She said she couldn't find the boat. I closed my eyes. Victoria. And I heard her. Her voice dropped. I heard her. That was the truth she had avoided. Not that she made the wrong decision. That she had heard her daughter and still chosen Adrian. They played my order twice. I didn't respond. Rescue 1. Continue toward Commander Cross. She repeated her own words like they belonged to someone else. Then, what kind of mother does that? I had spent days wanting her to ask herself that question. Now that she had, I found no satisfaction in it. I don't know. She laughed once. It sounded terrible. You could say it. Say what? That I'm a monster. I don't think you're a monster. Why not? Because monsters don't care. Silence. I think you made a choice that Lily may remember for the rest of her life. Victoria sobbed. One broken sound. Then silence again. I waited. Finally, she whispered. Adrian lied. My expression changed. About what? His condition. I sat straighter. What did they show? The medical timeline. She inhaled. He told command he was trapped. Yes. He wasn't. I went still. What? He was never trapped. I stood. The review found internal footage from the launch. My grip tightened on the phone. He was free? Within 90 seconds of the collision. The room seemed to tilt. He could move? Yes. He could exit? Yes. Yes. The second one came out like a cry. I turned away from the desk. And he kept saying he was trapped? Yes. Why? I don't know. But I did. Attention. Importance. Fear. Control. Victoria continued. The review chair asked him directly. What did he say? That he was disoriented. I laughed without humor. Of course. They also showed the route footage. Silence. The maneuver. Yes. Her voice changed. You knew. Yes. You already knew. For 2 days. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? She didn't answer. That was answer enough. They showed the authorization change for Lily's craft. I know. His code. Yes. And the maintenance warning. Yes. Her voice dropped. Ethan. I waited. If he knew, we don't know that he personally submitted the override. But it came from his office. Yes. He moved her craft. Yes. He broke his route. Yes. He created the wake. Yes. And she couldn't finish. I did. You saved him first. Silence. Then the line went dead. Victoria arrived at the Monterey house 3 hours later. I didn't invite her. She came anyway. The gate called me first. Admiral Hale is here. I closed my eyes. Let her through. I met her at the front door. She looked terrible. No uniform. No makeup. Hair pulled back badly. Eyes swollen. I had never seen Victoria look so ordinary. So human. Where's Lily? Upstairs. I need to see her. No. Her face tightened. Ethan. She said she doesn't want to. Victoria looked like I'd struck her. Did you ask? Yes. What exactly did you tell her? That you were here. And she said no. Victoria stepped inside. I blocked her. You're not going upstairs. I'm her mother. I know. Then move. No. Her eyes hardened automatically. Old reflex. Command. Authority. It lasted 3 seconds. Then it vanished. Please. That was new. I stepped aside enough to let her into the foyer. Sit. She did. No argument. I almost didn't recognize her. Victoria stared at the staircase. Does she hate me? I don't know. You know her better than anyone. That isn't the same as knowing what she's feeling. She talks to you. Yes. What does she say? I sat across from her. Mostly that she doesn't want to talk about you. Victoria flinched. Does she have nightmares? Yes. How often? Every night. Her face crumpled. She wakes up thinking she's back in the water. Victoria covered her mouth. I looked away. I had wanted her to understand. I hadn't wanted this. There is a difference between wanting accountability and enjoying someone else's collapse. I didn't enjoy it. Ethan. I looked back. Do you think she'll ever forgive me? I don't know. Would you? The question caught me off guard. This isn't about me. It is too. No. Yes. She stood. I failed both of you. I said nothing. I spent years telling myself you understood. I did. No. She shook her head. I used that. My expression changed. You were always so easy. I almost laughed. That sounds bad. You know what I mean. She wiped her face. You never demanded anything. Because I thought love wasn't supposed to be a negotiation. You changed your schedule for me. Yes. You handled Lily. Yes. You moved when I needed to move. Yes. You stopped traveling. Yes. You stopped attending your family's meetings. Yes. Her eyes filled again. And I thought what? That you liked it. I stared at her. I did. That confused her. I liked being Lily's father. I paused. I liked being your husband. Her face tightened. That doesn't mean there wasn't a cost. She whispered. I never asked what it cost. No. The word landed heavily. She looked toward the stairs again. Can I leave something for her? Yes. Victoria reached into her bag. A small silver compass. I recognized it. Lily had given it to her 3 years earlier. Mother's Day. It was cheap. Probably $20. Victoria carried it on major operations anyway. I want her to have it. I took it. She'll decide what to do with it. Victoria nodded. Then a bedroom door opened upstairs. Both of us looked up. Lily stood at the top of the staircase. Victoria stopped breathing. Lily. My daughter didn't move. Victoria took 1 step forward. Lily immediately stepped back. Victoria froze. The expression on her face was unbearable. Sweetheart, Lily looked at me. Not her. Me. Dad. Yeah? Can she go? Victoria closed her eyes. I stood. Yes. Lily disappeared into her room. The door closed. Victoria remained completely still. For almost a minute. Then she whispered. If you hadn't gone after her, I didn't answer. If you hadn't found her, her voice broke. Would she be dead? I forced myself to answer honestly. Maybe. Victoria looked toward the staircase. Then she folded in on herself. Not dramatically. No screaming. No theatrical collapse. She simply sat down on the lowest step and cried. For years, Victoria had been surrounded by people who obeyed her, respected her, admired her, feared disappointing her. None of it mattered now. Her 12-year-old daughter had asked her to leave. And for the first time, Victoria Hale finally understood that rank. Success. And authority could not order love to return. Victoria's grief lasted 4 days. Then control returned. I should have expected it. Regret had cracked her open. Fear rebuilt the armor. The first warning came from Daniel. He called at 7:15 Monday morning. Don't get angry. That's never a good beginning. Victoria retained family counsel. I put down my coffee. For what? Custody. Silence. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I should have known. She wants Lily? She wants a formal shared arrangement. Lily won't stay with her. I know. Does Victoria? Yes. Then why? Daniel hesitated. Because she's afraid that if she doesn't act now, she loses legal standing later. I leaned back. So this isn't about what Lily wants. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Ethan, listen to me. Don't turn this into war. I didn't start it. No. But you can decide whether it becomes one. I looked toward the breakfast table. Lily was doing homework. Headphones on. Oblivious. What's Victoria arguing? Daniel read from his notes. Stable income. Established residence. Parental history. Educational continuity. Proximity to existing support network. I smiled slowly. Stable income? Yes. Established residence? Yes. Educational continuity? Yes. Daniel heard it. Oh no. What? You're enjoying this. I'm enjoying bad assumptions. Ethan, she thinks I'm financially dependent on her. She may still not understand the full structure. Then perhaps it's time. Victoria's attorney requested a private mediation before any formal filing. I agreed. Not because I feared court, because Lily didn't deserve a public fight. The meeting happened 2 days later. Victoria sat across from me at a long conference table. No Adrian. That was a relief. Her attorney, Melissa Grant, was professional and careful. Daniel sat beside me. Melissa began. Our goal is to preserve Lily's relationship with both parents. So is mine. Victoria looked at me, then stopped preventing me from seeing her. I met her eyes. I haven't. You tell her she doesn't have to. Yes. That is preventing me. No. It gives a traumatized child permission to avoid something difficult. I stared at her. Something difficult? Victoria's jaw tightened. You know what I mean. No. I think you should say it. Daniel touched my arm lightly. Enough. Melissa continued. Admiral Hale is requesting an interim schedule. What schedule? Alternating weekends. One weekday evening. And shared educational decision-making. No. Victoria leaned forward. You can't just say no. I just did. She's my daughter. And she is terrified of being alone with you. That stopped the room. Victoria went pale. She said that? Yes. When? Yesterday. What exactly did she say? I looked at Daniel. He gave a small nod. I answered. She said, what if something happens and Mom chooses someone else again? Victoria's face crumpled. Melissa looked down at her notes. No one spoke. Finally, Victoria whispered, I would never. I almost snapped. Instead, I said quietly, she knows you already did. Victoria closed her eyes. Melissa recovered first. Then perhaps supervised contact initially. Victoria looked at her attorney. No. Victoria, I am not seeing my daughter under supervision. Then you may not see her at all. The words came from me. Victoria turned. You don't control that. No. I leaned back. Lily's fear does. Her expression hardened. Do you think you're better than me? No. You think because you rescued her, you're the only parent she needs? No. You've been waiting for this. That surprised me. For what? A chance to take her. I stared. Victoria's voice rose. You've always been the preferred parent. Victoria. She calls you first. Because I answer. You attend everything. Because you don't. You made yourself indispensable. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. I raised our daughter. So did I? When? The room went silent. Victoria stared at me. I kept going. When did you take her to school? Ethan, when did you stay home when she had pneumonia? I was deployed. When did you meet her teachers? I attended conferences. 2. Her face tightened. In 7 years. That isn't fair. When did you take her to dance rehearsal? She quit dance. Because you missed her recital 3 years in a row. Victoria said nothing. I hated saying it. But facts had become cruel because we'd ignored them too long. Melissa intervened. This is not productive. No. I said. It's necessary. I looked at Victoria. You think I made myself indispensable? Yes. No. I lowered my voice. You made yourself absent. The words hit harder than shouting. She looked away. Daniel opened a folder. Since finances have been raised as part of the proposed stability assessment, we should clarify ownership. Victoria's attention shifted. Melissa nodded. Of course. Daniel slid documents across the table. The Monterey residence is held entirely by the Cole Family Trust. Melissa looked at Victoria. She hadn't known. The education trust established for Lily currently holds assets independent of either parent. Victoria looked at me. How much? Enough. Daniel continued. Mr. Cole's personal income is derived from multiple trust distributions, private investments, and his recently resumed executive role. Melissa scanned the page. Her expression changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Victoria noticed. What? Melissa turned another page. Then another. How much is Cole Maritime worth? I answered before Daniel could. That's not relevant. Victoria stared at me. Apparently it is. No. You let me walk into this meeting believing what? That you? She stopped. I waited. That I what? Victoria looked embarrassed. That your income was limited. I almost smiled. Limited by what? You're consulting. I stopped consulting 7 years ago. Her eyes widened. You told me you worked from home. I did. Doing what? Managing private investments. You said that casually. It was casual. To you? Yes. She stared. Melissa cleared her throat. Financially, Mr. Cole's position appears more than sufficient. Daniel almost smiled. That was an understatement. But I wasn't interested in humiliating Victoria with numbers. Money was the least important revelation. I looked at her. Do you want to know why I stopped working publicly? Her eyes remained on me. I know. No. You said it was for family. That was part of it. I leaned forward. When Lily was 2, my father asked me to return full-time. Victoria's face changed. I don't remember that. You weren't there. Where was I? Singapore. She thought, then remembered. I continued. He wanted me to take over the Pacific Division. Daniel looked down. He already knew the story. 300 employees reported directly into that role. Victoria said nothing. I said no. Because of Lily? Because of both of you. She swallowed. You never told me. You were being considered for a major assignment. Her eyes narrowed. You thought my career was more important. No. I shook my head. I thought our family couldn't survive 2 people constantly leaving. Silence. So I stayed. I looked down at my hands. For years later, my father offered me the chair. Victoria's lips parted. You refused? Yes. Why? Lily was starting school. Her eyes filled. And you were gone almost half the year. She stared at me. I continued. When my father died, I could have stepped in. You didn't. No. Because of us. Yes. Her voice became very quiet. You gave up Cole Maritime. For a while. For me. For our family. That is not the same thing. No. I looked at her. But don't reduce it now because it makes you uncomfortable. She looked down. For years, Victoria had mistaken my availability for lack of ambition, my support for dependence, my quiet life for absence of options. Now she saw the truth. I had choices. I had simply chosen her. Over and over. Until she made the choice for me. Victoria whispered, I didn't know. No. Why didn't you tell me? Would it have changed anything? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I nodded. Exactly. After the meeting, Victoria followed me into the hallway. Ethan. I stopped. She stood a few feet away. No attorney. No rank. No audience. I'm not trying to take Lily from you. It feels like it. I panicked. That's becoming a pattern. She accepted the hit. I thought if I didn't establish something now, you'd disappear. I won't. You already left. With our daughter after you abandoned her in the ocean. Her face tightened. I know. Then stop calling my departure abandonment. She nodded. Okay. That surprised me. Then she said, I don't know how to fix this. I studied her. For once. Don't fix it. What? Listen. To what? To Lily. She looked toward the elevator. What if she says she doesn't want me? Then accept it. Her eyes filled. How? The same way she had to accept that you didn't choose her. Victoria flinched. I hated saying it. But I didn't take it back. She whispered, Do you hate me? No. That answer surprised her. Maybe it surprised me too. I wish I did. Why? Because hate would make this easier. Her lips trembled. Do you still love me? I looked at her. For 15 years. The answer had always been immediate. Yes. Always. This time, I couldn't say it. And that was answer enough. The elevator arrived. I stepped inside. Before the doors closed, Victoria said, Ethan. I looked up. She stood alone in the hallway. I never thought you were weak. I almost smiled. No. The doors began closing. You just thought I'd never leave. Her face changed. The doors shut. That evening, I returned home to find Lily at the kitchen counter. She had Victoria's silver compass in front of her. You kept it. She shrugged. I didn't say I forgave her. I know. I just didn't want to throw it away. You don't have to. She turned it over in her hand. Dad. Yeah? Did Mom really not know you owned a company? I smiled. Apparently not. That's kind of embarrassing. For both of us. Lily looked at me. Why didn't you tell her? I thought about the question, then answered as simply as I could. Because sometimes when you love someone, you make yourself smaller so they can feel bigger. She frowned. That sounds stupid. I laughed. Yeah. She pushed the compass across the counter. Don't do that again. I looked at my daughter. No. I picked up the compass. I don't think I will. And for the first time since leaving Victoria, I realized something. Taking my life back wasn't only about money, or companies, or houses. It wasn't even about ending a marriage. It was about showing Lily what love should not require. You should not have to disappear for someone else to shine. You should not have to accept neglect to prove loyalty. And you should never teach a child that being chosen last is something they are supposed to understand. Victoria had spent 15 years believing I would always stay. Now she was learning the cost of that assumption. And somewhere behind her, Adrian Cross was about to learn something worse. Because Daniel had found the person whose credentials were used to clear Lily's defective craft. And this time, the man was willing to talk. The man who cleared Lily's defective craft was named Eric Tanner. I met him in a conference room at Cole Maritime Headquarters 2 days after the custody mediation. He looked terrified, not nervous. Terrified. There was a difference. Nervous people shifted in their seats. Terrified people watched the door. Tanner was in his early 30s, pale, thin, and wearing a suit that looked like he'd bought it that morning. Daniel sat beside me. Across the table were Tanner and his attorney. I started simply. "You don't work for me." Tanner blinked. "No, sir. And I can't protect your career." "No. I also can't promise what happens after you speak." His attorney glanced at him. Tanner nodded. "I understand. Then why are you here?" He swallowed. "Because I didn't authorize that clearance." I leaned back. "Explain." He opened a folder with shaking hands. Commander Cross's office had emergency administrative access to certain demonstration systems. "I know. My credentials were used to approve temporary clearance for Craft 14B. Were you asked to do it?" "No." "Did Cross ask you?" "No." "Anyone?" "No." Daniel spoke. "Then how were your credentials used?" Tanner looked down. "Commander Cross had them." My expression changed. "Why?" Tanner's attorney interrupted. "Let's be precise. Mr. Tanner had previously supplied temporary login access during a secure systems transition." Tanner nodded. "It was supposed to be for 1 day. And you never changed the password?" I asked. "I did." "When?" 2 days later." Daniel frowned. "The clearance was entered during that window." "Yes." I stared at Tanner. "Did Adrian know the craft had a steering warning?" Tanner's face tightened. "Yes." My hands went still. "How?" I told him. Silence. Daniel looked at me. I kept my voice level. "When?" 3 days before the clearance. "Why?" He asked why Craft 14B wasn't on the demonstration roster. My jaw clenched. "What did you tell him?" "That maintenance had flagged the steering and emergency transponder. And he said the event needed more visible assets." My pulse began pounding. "What did you say?" "I said we should use another craft." "And him?" Tanner swallowed again. "He said 14B was already fitted with the right camera package and sponsor markings." Sponsor markings. Lily had nearly died because a damaged vessel looked better on television. I stared at the table. Daniel asked the next question. "Did Cross instruct you to clear it?" "No." "Did he say he would?" "No." "But then your credentials were used." "Yes." Tanner looked at me. "I didn't know until after the accident." "Why didn't you report it immediately?" His face collapsed. "Because I was scared." "Of Adrian?" "Yes." "Why?" "He called me that night." My eyes lifted. "What did he say?" Tanner rubbed his hands together. "He told me there would be an inquiry." "That sounds obvious." "He said the records showed my authorization." Silence. "He told me mistakes happen under pressure." Daniel's voice hardened. "He was threatening you." Tanner nodded. "He said if everyone stayed disciplined, no careers needed to end." I felt something cold settle over me. "He framed you." "Yes." "And you stayed quiet." "Yes." I wanted to be angry at him. I was. But fear makes cowards out of ordinary people long before it makes criminals out of them. Tanner continued. "I thought Lily was going to be okay." My jaw tightened. "That made it easier?" "No." His eyes filled. "It made it easier to lie to myself." That answer was honest enough to hurt. He opened another file. "There is one more thing." "What?" "A message." He slid his phone across the table. Screenshot. Adrian to Tanner. Sent 46 minutes before the demonstration. "Make sure 14B is moved to Sector 7. I want the public line full behind my run." I read it twice. Then again. Daniel said quietly, "That ties the route change to him." "Yes." Tanner nodded. "There are more." I looked up. "How many?" 7 messages. Daniel exhaled. "Jesus." I didn't say anything, because all I could see was Lily in that water. Again, and again, and again. Victoria called that evening. For once. I answered before the second ring. "Did you know?" she asked. No greeting. Her voice sounded exhausted. "About Tanner?" Silence. Then, "So you do?" "Yes." He testified. "When?" "This afternoon." I stood by the window. Lily was in the living room doing homework. He told them Adrian knew about the maintenance warning. "Yes." Victoria exhaled slowly. "He used Tanner's credentials." "That appears likely." "He moved Lily's craft." "Yes." "He knew." Her voice broke. "Yes." Then she said something I didn't expect. "I defended him today." I closed my eyes. "Why?" I didn't know about Tanner yet. What did you defend? His judgment. Of course. She laughed bitterly at herself. I told the panel he was reckless sometimes, but not dishonest. Silence. 20 minutes later. They brought Tanner in. I could picture it. Victoria sitting there, confident enough to still protect Adrian. Then the floor disappearing beneath her. What happened? They separated us. Why? Because Adrian changed his statement. My expression sharpened. To what? He said I pressured him. I went still. He said you what? Victoria's voice turned hollow. He claims I wanted a more dramatic demonstration. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because Adrian was exactly what I'd always known he was. A man who loved proximity to power until power became dangerous. Then he ran. He says I told him to increase visual impact. Did you? No. Any messages? No. Any witnesses? Not that I know of. Then why would he say it? Victoria was quiet for several seconds. Then, because he thinks he can save himself. There it was. Not my accusation. Hers. Her realization. I said nothing. He said I created a culture where people were afraid to challenge me. I winced slightly. That one was more complicated. Victoria knew it too. That part isn't entirely false. She whispered. I didn't answer. He's mixing truth with lies. Yes. So no one knows what to believe. That is usually how people like Adrian survive. She was quiet. Then, Ethan. Yeah? Do you have evidence that helps me? The question sat between us. I knew what she thought. That this was the moment I would make her pay. That I would hold back anything exculpatory because she had hurt me. A month ago, maybe I would have wanted her to wonder. Now I was tired. I have everything Daniel collected. Her breathing changed. Will you submit it? Yes. A long silence. Even if it helps me? Yes. Why? I looked toward Lily. Because truth isn't a weapon I get to edit. Victoria said nothing. I continued. Adrian's guilt doesn't require inventing yours. She started crying quietly. I heard it. I didn't know what to do with it anymore. Thank you. She whispered. Don't. What? Don't thank me for doing the minimum decent thing. She inhaled sharply. I softened slightly. But I will submit everything. Okay. Then she said, Ethan? Yes? I think he's going to destroy me. I closed my eyes. No. She waited. You may lose things because of what you did. I paused. But Adrian doesn't get to decide what the truth is. The final review lasted 6 days. Cole Maritime submitted every relevant system log. Telemetry. Camera feeds. Maintenance records. Internal authorization timestamps. Third-party server copies. Communication backups. Everything. Some evidence hurt Adrian. Some hurt Victoria. I submitted all of it. That surprised people. Especially Adrian. His attorney argued that the recording Aide made in the parking structure should be excluded. Fine. We didn't need it. Tanner's messages were enough. The route logs were enough. The maintenance override was enough. The video was enough. Most damaging of all, Adrian's own communications were enough. His repeated requests for visual positioning. His dismissal of safety warnings. His insistence on keeping Lily's craft in Sector 7. His false claim that he was trapped after the accident. His exaggerated distress calls. His attempt to shift blame once the review expanded. Adrian had spent years building the image of a loyal, indispensable aide. The evidence revealed something much smaller. A vain man who took risks to be noticed. Victoria's findings were different. She had not ordered the defective craft into service. She had not approved Adrian's maneuver. She had not known he used Tanner's credentials. But she had created favoritism around him. She had ignored complaints about his behavior. She had accepted his version of events without sufficient scrutiny. And most damaging personally, though not criminally, she had knowingly redirected the closest rescue unit away from Lily. The final board called it compromised judgment. I called it exactly what it was. A choice. Adrian and Victoria saw each other for the first time after the final findings were issued in a closed corridor outside the review room. I was there because Daniel had asked me to verify evidence custody. I hadn't planned to witness it. Adrian walked toward Victoria. She stood completely still. Victoria. She looked at him. I had never seen her look at anyone that way. Not angry. Done. He lowered his voice. I had no choice. She almost smiled. No choice. They were trying to make me the sole cause. You were the primary cause. His face hardened. You signed off on operational discretion. You lied to me. I protected your reputation for years. Victoria laughed softly. It sounded exhausted. You protected yourself. He stepped closer. Don't act like Ethan suddenly makes you innocent. Her face changed. This isn't about Ethan. It has always been about Ethan. There it was. His obsession. Even now. Adrian looked past her and saw me. His expression twisted. You got what you wanted. I didn't move. What did I want? You took her career. No. I glanced at Victoria. She made her choices. Then at him. You made yours. Adrian laughed bitterly. And you think you're better? No. I stepped closer. But I didn't leave a child in the ocean to feed my ego. His face went white. Victoria closed her eyes. Adrian said nothing. I walked away. Behind me, I heard Victoria speak one final sentence. Quiet. Cold. Don't ever contact me again. For years, she had protected him. That ended in less than 6 seconds. Too late for our marriage. But not too late for the truth. Victoria lost her command 6 weeks later. Not everything, but enough. She was removed from her prestigious assignment. Several future leadership opportunities disappeared. Advisory positions evaporated. Invitations stopped. People who had once competed to sit beside her at dinner suddenly became busy. Status is loyal only while it believes you're rising. I expected her to fight. Instead, she disappeared. For almost 2 months. I heard very little. She spoke to Lily twice by video. Both times were short. Supervised only because Lily requested I remain nearby. Victoria didn't push. That mattered. The first call lasted 4 minutes. The second lasted 11. Slow progress. Still progress. Then, one Saturday afternoon, Victoria came to Monterey. This time she called first. I'd like to talk. To Lily? To you. I hesitated. Then agreed. We met on the back terrace. Not the ocean side. I still kept that part of the house mostly closed for Lily. Victoria arrived alone. No uniform. No staff. No Adrian. No title. Just a woman I'd once loved more than anything. She sat across from me. For a while, neither of us spoke. Finally, she said, I found our first apartment lease. I almost smiled. Why? I've been going through boxes. That sounds dangerous. She actually laughed. Small. Sad. It was $840 a month. $860. No. Yes. You're wrong. I paid it. She looked at me, then smiled faintly. Right. Silence returned. She looked older. Not physically. Some people lose status and suddenly look like everyone else. Victoria had always carried certainty like armor. Now it was gone. I remembered something. She said, What? The night I got my first major command. I knew the story. You came home at 2 in the morning. You had made dinner. You didn't eat it. I was too excited. You talked for 3 hours. She looked down. You listened. Yes. You always listened. I said nothing. She continued. I don't think I listened to you for years. The statement was so simple it hurt more than an apology. I kept thinking about what you said. What? That you chose me. Her eyes filled. Again and again. I looked away. I thought support was just your personality. It was. No. She shook her head. I turned it into an obligation. Silence. You moved when my career moved. Yes. You canceled your opportunities. Yes. You became the parent who was always home. Yes. And I told myself you preferred that. Sometimes I did. That made it easier for me. I looked at her. Easier to what? Take it for granted. There it was. Finally. No defense. No Adrian. No emergency doctrine. No rank. Just truth. Victoria inhaled slowly. I don't know when I started believing my work was more important than your life. I didn't answer. Maybe because everyone treated it that way. Maybe. Maybe because you did too. That hit. I looked at her sharply. She wasn't blaming me. She looked ashamed. You always adjusted. Her voice trembled. So I stopped checking whether you wanted to. I leaned back. That part is fair. She looked surprised. I made it easy. No. I did. I stared at the table. I thought being supportive meant never making you choose. She whispered, and then I chose anyway. The ocean existed on the other side of the house. I couldn't see it. Still, I heard waves. Memory does that. Victoria started crying. Not dramatically. Quiet tears. I keep hearing Lily. I close my eyes. Every night. My chest tightened. She says, Mom, can you hear me? I didn't know what to say. I hear my own voice send the boat away. She covered her face. I don't know how to live with that. You learn. She looked up. How? The same way Lily is. That hurt her. It was supposed to. Not cruelly. Truth sometimes hurts simply because it arrives late. Victoria nodded. I deserve that. I didn't say that. No. She wiped her face. But I do. We sat in silence. Then she said the words I knew were coming before she spoke them. I want my family back. I didn't move. I want Lily. Her voice broke. And I want my husband. For 15 years. Those words would have been everything. Now they felt like a message delivered to an address where I no longer lived. Victoria, please don't answer yet. I let her continue. I know I can't ask for the old marriage. No. I know I don't get to say sorry and erase everything. No. I know Lily may never trust me the same way. No. She swallowed. But I want to try. I looked at her. You should. Hope appeared in her eyes. I hated that I had to kill it. With Lily. The hope faded. You should try with Lily. And us. I shook my head. No. Victoria closed her eyes. Because of Adrian? No. That surprised her. He was part of it. I leaned forward. But this marriage broke before the ocean. Her lips trembled. I didn't know. I didn't either. Silence. Adrian didn't make you stop seeing me. I continued. He didn't make you miss Lily's life. He didn't make you believe my sacrifices cost nothing. He didn't make you assume I'd always stay. Victoria looked down. I softened my voice. The accident just made everything impossible to ignore. She whispered, "Do you forgive me?" I thought about it. Longer than she expected. Yes. She looked up sharply. Yes. Mostly. Tears filled her eyes. Then why? Forgiveness isn't the same as trust. She stopped. And trust isn't the same as love. Her face crumpled. I kept going because stopping would have been crueler. I don't want to spend the rest of my life wondering who you choose when something gets hard. I'd choose you. Maybe. I would. Maybe. My voice stayed quiet. But I don't want a marriage built around making you prove it. She looked at me. For the first time. She understood. This wasn't punishment. I wasn't holding divorce over her. I was finished. Not furious. Finished. That is harder to reverse. Victoria whispered, "Is there someone else?" No. Will there be? Eventually. Maybe. She closed her eyes. That answer hurt. Still. She nodded. Then she said, "I think some part of me believed you'd never leave because you loved me more than I loved you." I felt something inside me go still. Maybe. She opened her eyes. That isn't something to be proud of. No. I know. She stood slowly. Before leaving, she looked toward the house. Can I see Lily? I'll ask. You won't tell her I was crying? I smiled faintly. No. Thank you. She turned to go. Victoria. She looked back. The man you married didn't disappear because you ruined him. She waited. He disappeared because he finally stopped disappearing for you. Her eyes filled again. I know. Then she left. Lily saw her 2 weeks later. Not because I pushed. Because Lily asked. They met at a small cafe. I sat 3 tables away. Close enough for Lily to see me. Far enough to give them privacy. Victoria didn't hug her. Good. She waited. Lily sat. They talked for 27 minutes. At the end, Lily stood. Victoria asked something. Lily hesitated. Then stepped forward. A brief hug. 3 seconds. Maybe 4. Victoria closed her eyes. She didn't hold too tightly. When Lily returned to me, she looked exhausted. You okay? Yeah. Want to talk? No. Okay. We walked toward the car. Halfway there. She said, I still don't forgive her. I know. Maybe a little. I smiled. That happens. She looked at me. Are you getting back together? No. Good. I laughed. She frowned. I mean, I know what you mean. I just don't want things to go back. Neither do I. She took my hand. Neither did I. 1 year after Lily went into the water, I stood on a stage overlooking Monterey Bay. I almost canceled the event. Not because of business. Because of the location. Lily changed my mind. It's okay. She told me. Are you sure? No. That was honest. Then she shrugged. But I don't want the ocean to own me forever. I looked at my daughter. 13 now. Taller. Stronger. Still carrying scars no one could see. I don't want it to own you either. So we're going. Apparently that was settled. The event introduced the largest emergency response initiative Cole Maritime had launched in 20 years. Autonomous rescue craft. Satellite-linked emergency beacons. Real-time passenger tracking. Independent distress prioritization. Predictive vessel failure analysis. Systems designed specifically to prevent human hierarchy from overriding imminent life risk. No title. No rank. No donor. No seniority. A child in immediate danger would never again be treated as a lower priority because someone important was nearby. The program was called Lily. Lifeline Integrated Location Initiative. Margaret hated the acronym at first. It's sentimental. Yes. We usually name programs like this with numbers. then this one can be sentimental. She eventually gave up. The board approved it unanimously. That morning, reporters filled the waterfront pavilion. Industry executives, researchers, rescue specialists, engineers, families. Lily stood backstage beside me. You're nervous? No. You're moving your thumb. I looked down. I was. She smiled. Grandpa Jonathan says you do that before speeches. Your uncle talks too much. He says that about you. Traitor. Lily laughed. A real laugh. I still noticed everyone. The stage manager signaled. 2 minutes. Lily looked through the curtain toward the bay. She went quiet. You okay? Yeah. Then, Mom's here. I followed her gaze. Victoria stood near the back. Alone. I hadn't invited her. Lily had. That surprised me. When? Yesterday. You didn't tell me. I wanted to see if she'd come. She did. Lily nodded. Victoria looked different. She had taken a civilian maritime safety role several months earlier. Far less prestigious. More technical. Quiet work. She had started volunteering with survivor support organizations too. I knew because Lily told me. Not because Victoria did. That mattered. She wasn't rebuilding her image. At least not with me. She was rebuilding herself. Slowly. No guarantees. Maybe that was the only honest kind of change. Do you want her backstage? I asked. Lily thought. No. Okay. But after. Okay. The stage manager pointed. Time. I looked at Lily. You ready? No. Me neither. She smiled. Good. We walked out together. The applause was louder than I expected. I hated applause. Maybe because Adrian had nearly killed my daughter chasing it. I waited until the room settled. A year ago, my daughter went into the Pacific during what was supposed to be a controlled demonstration. The pavilion went completely silent. This was the first time I'd spoken publicly about the accident in detail. Lily stood beside me. I glanced at her. She nodded. I continued. A damaged craft entered conditions it should never have entered. Safety warnings were ignored. Judgment failed. I paused. And then rescue priority failed. No names. No need. Everyone knew. My daughter survived because several people refused to accept that waiting was good enough. I looked toward Mason in the second row, the deckhand who had climbed into the skiff with me. He looked embarrassed when the camera found him. Good. He deserved the recognition. When I found Lily, one sentence stayed with me. I looked at her. She said, I thought nobody was coming. My throat tightened. The room blurred for half a second. I waited. Then continued. No child should ever have to think that. Applause began. I raised a hand. Not yet. So we built something. The screen behind us changed. Lily. The system animation spread across maritime maps. Emergency beacons. Satellites. Automated prioritization. Rescue drones. Fail-safe redundancy. If a beacon fails, another system takes over. If a command chain becomes delayed, the network escalates automatically. If a vulnerable passenger is in immediate danger, the system identifies that risk without caring about title or status. I paused. The ocean doesn't care who is important. My eyes moved briefly toward Victoria. She was crying. The rescue system shouldn't either. This time, I let the applause come. Lily spoke next. That had been her idea. I had tried to talk her out of it. She refused. She stepped toward the microphone. Hi. The room laughed softly. She looked at me. I told Dad I didn't want a speech. I smiled. She didn't. So this isn't one. More laughter. She looked toward the water. A year ago, I was scared of the ocean. Pause. Actually, that's not true. Her voice trembled slightly. I was scared before that too. I frowned. She had never told me. I just didn't know it yet. The room went silent. I thought adults always knew what to do. My chest tightened. I thought if something bad happened, my parents would fix it. She looked down. Then something bad happened. Victoria covered her mouth. Lily continued. My dad came for me. She looked at me. I had to look away. And after that, he kept coming for me. The sentence almost broke me. Nightmares. Therapy. School. Days when I was angry. Days when I didn't want to talk. She smiled faintly. He's annoying. Laughter. Very annoying. I mouthed rude. She ignored me. But he taught me something. She looked toward the audience. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Pause. It means you stop letting the thing that hurt you decide your whole life. This time, the applause rose before she finished. She stepped back. I hugged her. Not because it was part of the program. Because I needed to. She whispered, You're crying. No. You are. Stage lights. Liar. After the ceremony, Victoria waited away from the crowd. Lily saw her first. Can I go? Of course. She walked over. Victoria smiled. Carefully, like someone who had learned that love required permission. They hugged. Longer this time. I stayed where I was. Jonathan approached beside me. You did good. Lily did. You both did. I looked at him. Don't get emotional. I'm old. I'm allowed. You've been old for 20 years. He laughed. Across the pavilion, Victoria and Lily were talking. No tension. Not no pain. There was a difference. Some wounds don't disappear. They stop bleeding. That can be enough. Jonathan looked at Victoria. You ever regret it? What? Leaving. I knew what he meant. No. The marriage? I thought. That answer is more complicated. He waited. I looked toward Lily. No. Jonathan frowned. No. If I hadn't married Victoria, I wouldn't have Lily. That is extremely sentimental for you. Shut up. He smiled, then left. Victoria approached 10 minutes later. Lily had gone to find Mason. For the first time in months, Victoria and I stood alone without pain immediately filling the space. Congratulations, she said. Thank you. Lily is brilliant. The engineers deserve that. You chose the purpose. I nodded. She looked toward the bay. I joined the Civilian Safety Review Board. I heard. Lily told you? Yes. Victoria smiled faintly. She tells you everything. Not everything anymore. Teenager? Apparently. That sounds terrifying. It is. We both laughed. Strange. A year earlier, laughter between us would have felt impossible. Victoria looked at me. You look happy. I am. The words hurt her. Just a little. But she accepted them. I'm glad. And I believed her. That mattered too. She looked at the stage. I used to think your life started when you married me. I almost smiled. That is incredibly arrogant. Yes. She laughed quietly. I know. Then, I thought I was the important one. I looked at her. You were important. She shook her head. That isn't what I mean. I understood. Victoria continued. I thought you stood behind me because that was where you belonged. Silence. I didn't understand you were choosing to stand there. Yes. And that you could stop. Yes. She looked toward Lily. I learned. There was no self-pity in her voice. No request. Good. I said, you're doing better with her. I hope so. She notices. Victoria's eyes filled. Thank you. For what? For not teaching her to hate me. I looked away. That wouldn't help her. It would have been easy. No. I shook my head. It would have been easy for me. I looked back at her. Not for Lily. Victoria nodded slowly. Then she said, I don't want you back anymore. That surprised me. She smiled at my expression. Not because I don't love you. I stayed silent. Because wanting you back was still about what I wanted. That sounded like growth. Real growth. I want you to have the life you would have had if you'd stopped shrinking sooner. My throat tightened unexpectedly. Victoria, it's okay. She smiled. I finally know how to let someone choose something that isn't me. For once. There was nothing to say, so I nodded. Take care of yourself. You too. She walked away. Not dramatically. No last look. No collapse. Just a woman leaving. This time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt free. That evening, Lily and I drove along the coast. She insisted on keeping the windows open. Cold air filled the car. Dad. Yeah? Do you think Mom is a bad person? I thought about it. No. She did a bad thing. Yes. A really bad thing. Yes. Lily looked out the window. Mr. Cross is a bad person. I almost laughed. I'll let you decide that. He definitely is. Fair. She smiled. Then grew quiet. Do you regret marrying Mom? There it was. The question I had answered for Jonathan hours earlier. No. Lily turned. Really? Really? Even after everything? Yes. Why? I looked at her. You. She rolled her eyes. That is so cheesy. Still true. She leaned against the seat. Okay. We drove another mile. Then she reached over and squeezed my hand. Outside, the Pacific stretched endlessly beside us. For months, I had hated looking at it. Now I understood something. The ocean hadn't betrayed us. People had. And people had also saved us. Mason came with me. Daniel told the truth. Tanner finally spoke. Lily kept fighting. Victoria eventually stopped lying to herself. Even I had changed. For 15 years, I believed love meant giving. Giving time, money, opportunity, silence, space. I had been wrong. Love without boundaries isn't devotion. Sometimes it's disappearance. Victoria didn't take everything from me. I gave too much away. So when I finally left, I didn't destroy her life. I didn't steal her career. I didn't take her money. I didn't need revenge. I simply stopped holding up a world that had forgotten I was underneath it. I took back my name, my company, my choices, my daughter, myself, and that turned out to be everything. Lily squeezed my hand again. Dad, yeah? Can we get ice cream? I smiled. Vanilla? She groaned. You are impossible. Chocolate. Better. We turned toward town. Behind us, the ocean disappeared around the bend. For once, neither of us looked back.